What's up, people? It's 2-5. Yes, you are now listening to the sounds of Sports Reports Exhorted. So I'm in the building. Mr. Logical will be here shortly. And I want y'all to let me be surprised. Because I know some of y'all been out there watching the leagues, trying to get on the internets and see who's playing who and when. I'm trying to be surprised. So this is going to be me watching it for the first time. All I know is Lions-Chiefs starting the season on Thursday night. But in the meantime, in addition to the schedule release, we're going to talk to you a little bit about NFL expansion. Where should the league look? What cities are worth a team? We're going to recap the NBA playoffs. We had two teams stay alive last night, the Knicks and the Warriors. So game 6s are tomorrow. In progress right now, Boston 15, Philly 3. We got Denver and Phoenix coming up. No CP3 and no Pursuit of Happiness 8. And then we're going to talk about a little getting it off our chest. So schedule going to go long. But yes, looks like the show is starting. So let's get into it. Like I said, I know that the Chiefs and the Lions are playing on the first Thursday night to start the season. That's going to be awesome. I also got word that Jacksonville, the Jaguars, are going to be playing in England not once but twice in back-to-back weeks. So is the NFL just basically prolonging this? Like, I feel like they're going to expand to Europe at some point. What are they waiting for? You know, we got games over there every year. Mexico City, could that be an option down the road? We'll get into that later. And look at this. Bills and Jets, Monday Night Football to start the season on September 11th, followed by the Super Bowl rematch. Is that what I said? Oh, November 20th, the next week. We got Philly at Kansas City, Super Bowl rematch. I'm loving that already. So like I said, this is my first time, y'all. I'm really genuinely surprised. Unlike you cheaters out there. You know, like imagine, you know what I'm saying, The Rock comes back and takes on Roman Reigns or something. Wouldn't it be more special if you didn't know he was coming? All these leaks, man. That's probably going to be my get it off my chest. So you're going to hear me whine about that all day. I'm going to call it whine, and it is what it is. You know, so the scheduled release show is starting now. Mr. Logical will be here shortly. Philly's on a 6-0 run. So the score is 15-9 with 4:34 left in the first quarter. Very low scoring. Game started off weird with James Harden and his weird jumping into U-fouls, but Jaylen Brown got one on the other end, and Philly seemed to be upset about it. You know, do unto others as done unto you. So, you know, but yes, we did our Super Bowl preview last week. You know, so we knew this was coming. So, you know, this is like a new holiday for me, you know, just see how they're going to screw Washington throughout the years. You know, Dallas always seems to get the favorable schedule. We all play the same teams, but they seem to play the good ones further apart. You know, I had to do that. But yeah, you know, NFC East is going to be interesting. You know, the Giants have made some improvements in the offseason. You know, I still think they're the third best team. Unfortunately, Washington probably will be bringing up the rear with Sam Howell starting at the quarterback. And, oh, yeah, guess who the backup is? Jacoby Brissett. So, you know, I don't even know what to do with all that, you know, besides mope and cry a little bit. You know, so, you know, then you got the Central, you know, or I'm sorry, we don't call it that no more, the NFC North. You know, are the Lions going to be worth the hype? You know, I picked them to win the division last week. Mr. Logical is staying with Minnesota. I think it's going to be one of those two teams unless Jordan Love turns into Patrick Mahomes reincarnated, and I think we all know that's not going to happen, even if he does end up being somewhat good. So, you know, NFC South probably – if it wasn't for the AFC South, it'd be the worst division in football, but it's the second worst division in football in my estimation. So, you know, I picked the Saints to win that division. Mr. Logical picked his Falcons because, of course, you know, homerism is the thing in these streets. But, you know, I don't even know who's going to win that division. I picked the Saints because I think they have the best quarterback/defense combination. But whoever wins that division is not winning a playoff game anyway, so I guess it really doesn't matter. And then how will the West be won? San Francisco or Seattle. I think it's down to those two teams. I'm picking Seattle for now because I have no idea how good Trey Lance is. I know how good Sam Darnold is not. So if Trey Lance is bad enough that Sam Darnold has to play, I think that solves the mystery of who's going to win the West and how the West will be won. The AFC East, both of us picked Buffalo. I think Miami, if Tua can stay healthy, they gave Buffalo some problems last year. Obviously, as we can see in the playoff game, even without Tua, they gave Buffalo some problems. So, but I think Buffalo is going to win that division. So let's see. We got Texans and Panthers on Sunday, October 29th. Bryce Young against CJ Stroud. Sign me up. I'm team Bryce Young, of course. I like CJ Stroud too. I think he'll be really good, but I think Bryce Young is the most NFL-ready quarterback at this time. CJ Stroud, I think will maybe have a rough few weeks, but Jets and Buffalo, like I mentioned, Monday Night Football, week 1, week 4, Jets and Chiefs, week 9, Jets and Chargers. So, we got all the marquee going on with the Jets. They just picked up Aaron Rodgers. I picked them to finish second in the division. I think Mr. Logical's picking them to finish third behind Buffalo and Miami. I picked Cincinnati to win the North. I picked Baltimore to win the North. Mr. Logical picked Cincinnati. In the South, how will the South be won? Jacksonville, I think that's it. Everybody else is starting over at quarterback for the most part. Even if Tennessee is starting Tannehill again, they might as well be starting over because he should have just stayed a wide receiver. From there, you got the West. And, of course, no surprise, both of us picked the Kansas City Chiefs to win the West. You knew that. He picked Denver to finish second. I picked Chargers second to finish in the playoff race. So, this is where we are, people. NFL schedule release week 1, Falcons and Panthers. Okay, they're showing the Falcons schedule right now. Jacksonville and London in week 4, like I mentioned, with the Texans in week 5, Commanders in week 6. So how you reward a team coming back from London, give them those two teams back to back, and then they get the Buccaneers the week after that. So somebody might be looking out for Atlanta, to go overseas for them. And then Atlanta's closing the season at Carolina with the Colts, and then the Bears and at the Saints. So, so the Atlanta Falcons, the Ravens and Texans week 1, week 2 at the Bengals, 3 with the Colts, Browns. Okay, Steelers. So the Ravens starting off a little tight, going to London with the Titans. Ravens and Detroit should be an awesome game. Ravens and Seahawks. I'm liking the schedule so far as entertainability. I might have to revise my pick and go back to picking Cincinnati to win the division because this is a tough schedule at Jacksonville and then at the 49ers Monday night in weeks 15 and 16. That's a tough back-to-back for the Ravens, especially, around that time of season. Lamar Jackson's usually not playing. Oh, Buffalo at the Commanders week 3. Okay, with the Dolphins the week after that. Jacksonville in London, as I mentioned, Jacksonville playing in London back-to-back. Who does that? At Cincinnati, week 9, the Broncos on Monday Night Football the week after that versus the Jets, at the Eagles, a bye, and then at Kansas City versus Dallas, at the Chargers. Who did the Bills piss off? So since Dallas got Buffalo that week, I bet you they got Miami 6 weeks earlier or something like that. Now we're looking at the Panthers. Week 5 at Detroit, week 6 at Miami before the bye. The game I mentioned against Houston in week 8, then against the Colts at the Bears. How about that for Thursday Night Football? Look at that. Week 14 at the Saints, week 15, the Falcons, 16 against the Packers, 17 at Jacksonville, and closing out at home versus the Buccaneers. Baker Mayfield, by the way, the new quarterback. And, oh, by the way, people, keep your ears out, keep your views on because, starting tomorrow on YouTube exclusive, 2-5 Daily is coming your way. That's where your boy 2-5 is going to get on the mic for about 2 to 3 minutes, pick a random topic that's going on in the sports world, break it down real quick. I wish I would have had done that when this thing came out because this man was wilding out, wasn't he? So, yeah, the Bears closing with the Packers, of course, like it should be. Bengals starting at Chicago or at Cleveland, home against the Ravens, Rams on Monday Night Football, at Tennessee, Cardinals, Seahawks in week 6, at the 49ers in week 8, home against Buffalo, week 9, like we mentioned, there's some nice back-to-backs going on here. These teams are going to have some tough games back-to-back, but these are professionals. So we expect that. We want that. We want all these games. Super Bowl odds, of course, with the Chiefs favorite. Let's take a quick look. So we got Celtics 23, Philadelphia 17, 2:18 left in the first. Like I mentioned, Denver and Phoenix to follow. So game 6, who's going to go? Is Boston going home tonight? Is Phoenix going home tonight? If I had to choose one of the two, which one is more likely, I would probably pick the Suns, because if Michael Porter shows up, that's been the issue. He hasn't been showing up in the games in Phoenix. Jamal Murray has cooled off some. So what's going to happen tonight? Can Landry Shamet or Terrence Ross or somebody on that Phoenix bench give the Stars some help? So, that's going to be the difference tonight. I think Boston's going to pull this series out. So they're going to win tonight, in my estimation. I think they also win game 7 because I just think they're the better team. They just haven't been playing like it. And I also think that it took 2 all-time games from James Harden to get to this point, or else Boston would have won this series in 5 probably. So, but I could be wrong, because Joe Mazzulla is Boston's coach. So, take that with a grain of salt, of course. All right, who we got? The Broncos, week 2 against my Commanders. At Miami, week 3. At Chicago. That should be good. So here we go. Odds to win the Super Bowl. Chiefs plus 600 is your favorite. The 49ers somehow at 750. The Eagles at 750. Buffalo at 900. Cincinnati at 1,000. Jets at 1,400. And the Cowboys at plus 1,600. So you know what? I was talking to Mr. Logical last week. And please don't kill me out there, my fellow Commanders. And I've wanted to say that R word a couple of times. It almost slipped out. But I said if this year, if Dallas is going to win the Super Bowl or get to the Super Bowl, this is going to probably be the year, because I'm not expecting much from them. But they did pick up not only Brandon Cooks on offense, but they picked up Gilmore on defense. So, they shored up the secondary. They added another weapon. So this is the year. I think Philadelphia is the best team in the NFC, but that's a rivalry. You can beat your rival. You're motivated. So, if this is the year, because I think Philly, is only going to get better going forward. Jalen Hurts getting another year down. So I don't know what's going to happen with Kirk Cousins in Minnesota. There's been rumors that they were listening to trades. Are they going to bring them back? Detroit, I mentioned them, but they're still young. The Rams, forget about them. 49ers already went over their quarterback situation. Seattle, look, I like Geno Smith. I don't know if I trust Geno Smith in the playoffs. I don't know if he's the type of quarterback and the caliber of quarterback that you ask to go win a playoff game. So unless Kenneth Walker III is ramming it down your throat, I don't really trust Seattle once the postseason starts. From there, the Giants, you got the division thing there. And like I said, no team from the NFC South is under consideration here. So, so looking at the Jets schedule here, let's see. They could start out 0-2 with the Buffalo Bills and Dallas back-to-back. They finish up easy with Washington, Cleveland, and New England to finish up the season. So let's see here. Buffalo, Dallas, New England, I say 1-2 at best. 1-3 starting out with Kansas City, win against Denver. So 2-3, lose to the Eagles, 2-4, 3-4 against the Giants. So at best, I think they're going to start 3-4. They could start 4-3, but I'm going to go 3-4. And then they get the Chargers, the Raiders, Buffalo, Miami. That's a tough stretch. Then against Atlanta, against Houston, those should be 2 wins. Miami in week 15 on the road. And then I mentioned Washington, Cleveland, and the Patriots to finish the season. So my first guess right now, just looking at it, not really breaking it down, but my first guess is 10-7, at best, but possibly a losing record, because Aaron Rodgers, he is getting into, he's got his guy back at offensive coordinator, our guy from Denver, we ain't going to mention his name. We'll let Mr. Logical mention his name. But yeah, looking at the schedule, it sets up tough, because coming off Buffalo and Dallas, they play New England, which, we know Belichick gets up for the Jets normally. Then you got Kansas City and Denver back-to-back, and then you add Philly. So that's a 3-game stretch versus Kansas City, at Denver, and versus Philly before you hit your bye. Then you come out of the bye at Giants, at home against the Chargers. That's a tough schedule. That's a tough schedule. They did the Jets no favors. But this is why these guys play the games. We'll get into this breakdown later as we get into training camp and closer to preseason. But yeah, right now, I might have to push back on my own second place finish for the Jets after looking at that schedule. So Aaron Rodgers is another year older. We know Tom Brady has defied the age and the decline. But I don't know if Aaron Rodgers is that type of quarterback because we saw him last year. Mr. Logical pointed out, he didn't have any 300-yard games this season, but he still calls Danny Dimes top 10, even though, he only threw for 500 yards 5.5 times. All right. So, I don't know. The Jets schedule is just it's not friendly. That's the best way I can put it. It's not friendly. So Rams starting at the Seahawks and then the 49ers, at the Bengals, at the Colts, versus the Eagles, versus the Cardinals, versus the Steelers, at Dallas, at Green Bay, the bye week, versus Seattle, at Arizona, versus Cleveland, at the Ravens. So this isn't a tough schedule at all, against the Commanders. Saints on Thursday Night Football, at the Giants, and at the 49ers. So Matt Stafford coming off of the shoulder and the elbow. So, what is he going to look like? He's not old just yet, but coming off of those injuries, you just never know how a quarterback is going to react, especially a quarterback that's known for the deep ball and the cannon arm that he's known for. So that's going to be tough. I think the Rams should be better just because they were so awful last year. But, I'm not sure that they're actually a good team. I don't have them making the playoffs. Mr. Logical didn't have them making the playoffs. So I want to know who you guys making the playoffs. Who you guys got making the playoffs. We gave you our picks last week. I went over them a little bit for you. So hit us up on the page on YouTube. Just let us know who you got. So at the end of the first quarter, the Boston Celtics are up 29-22 on the Philadelphia 76ers. Jason Tatum is 0 for 5. Started off the first quarter with 1 point, 4 rebounds, and 4 assists. Al Horford 0 for 2. He went 0 for 7 last game, all from three-point range. Jaylen Brown, 4 points. Marcus Smart with 6 is the leader right now. Joel Embiid, 6 points and a rebound, 1 of 5 shooting. James Harden, is this going to be one of those nights? No points in the first quarter on 0 for 4 shooting. We know how he does. I will never forgive James Harden. Not that I'm a James Harden fan to begin with, but I will never forgive him when these people try to tell me how great he is when I think about him going 2 for 10 against the San Antonio Spurs with no Kawhi Leonard in a closeout game to lose that series in 6. So I'll never forget James Harden for that. I will never forgive him for giving us hope that somebody was going to beat the Golden State conglomerate giant monster, when they first added Kevin Durant, took them to 7 games, lost Chris Paul. Get it? We don't expect you to win that game, right? What we expect you to do is be a leader and not let your team miss 27 consecutive three-pointers. Especially somebody like James Harden who can trick the officials by grabbing the defender's arm and get a foul call. We ain't forgiving you for that. So, we'll see. Can Joel Embiid make his first Eastern Conference Finals? He has a chance if they pull off this win tonight. So shows are on commercial right now. I'm watching on the NFL Network. So, like I mentioned, 2-5 Daily is coming soon. It's just going to be your boy all by myself, just like right now. I'm going to give you 2 to 3 minute quick hits on a random topic on sports, whatever's happening that day. Pull up the website, see what's popping in the world. Then I'm going to give it to you raw and unfiltered. So now, we got the schedules back up now. So we're just finishing off the Saints. Now we got the Giants starting off with the Cowboys, at the Cardinals, at the 49ers on Thursday night, then versus Seattle on Monday night, at Miami, at Buffalo on Sunday Night Football, Washington, Jets, at the Raiders, at the Cowboys, at Washington. So, this isn't a bad schedule either. Patriots, the way that it's setting up as far as the back-to-backs. Then the bye week in week 13. Packers on Monday Night Football, so they get the bye week and they get to come back on Monday Night Football, and then they close with the Rams and Eagles at home. So here's our London games. Falcons and Jaguars, Jaguars and Bills, Baltimore against Tennessee. In Frankfurt, we got Miami and Kansas City, and we got the Colts and the Patriots. So those are your international games. So is Frankfurt going to be another spot that we have to watch? when it comes to expansion. Remember the old World League and all that, Barcelona Dragons? I'm not even going to lie to you. Barcelona Dragons was one of my favorite teams across sports ever. I'm going to have to hit up somebody and try to find me a jersey who got them Korea connects. Holla at your boy and let me know. So we got the Eagles at the Patriots versus the Vikings on Thursday night. Then Monday night at Tampa, at Washington, at the Rams, at the Jets. So I'm thinking 5-0. They get Miami after that, at Washington versus Dallas, bye week in week 10, at Kansas City on Monday Night Football versus Buffalo. So Buffalo, Kansas City, and the 49ers back-to-back. At Dallas coming off of that, Sunday Night Football, at the Seahawks against the Giants, Cardinals, and at the Giants. And see what I mean? Dallas, how that lines up for them. Philadelphia coming off those games. And then, I don't want to do the conspiracy thing, y'all. We know that they claim that that's America's team. I refuse to acknowledge them because I am a proud American and that is not my team, so I'll just leave it at that, before I start pissing people off and getting disrespectful. So, looking at Pittsburgh, pretty good schedule, finishing up with the Patriots at home in 14, at the Colts in 15 versus the Bengals on Saturday, week 17 at Seattle, week 18 at the Ravens. So Ravens are going to be an interesting team this year. They seem to normally be a trendy Super Bowl pick. Everybody seems to pick the Ravens to go to the Super Bowl. I picked them last week in my early, that's going to probably change. But, in our early Super Bowl picks, I picked the Ravens. But usually every year, there's always some big name media person that goes out on that limb and, says that the Ravens are going to make the Super Bowl. We haven't seen it yet. Lamar Jackson has won just one playoff game in his career, which was the game at Tennessee. Beyond that, like I said, the last 2 seasons, he's missed the last 5 games. So, hopefully that reverses itself this year. They picked up Odell Beckham. They got my guy Zay Flowers out of Boston College. If I was a Catholic, that would be my university of choice, not Notre Dame. All right, looking at the 49ers now. So starting at week 12, it's Thanksgiving. They play at Seattle, at Philly, versus Seattle again, at the Cardinals, versus the Ravens on Monday Night Football in week 17, at Washington, week 18 against the Rams. So, wow. What are we looking at here? Some of these teams got some tough back-to-backs. So, now we're looking at Jacksonville's schedule here. Week 1 against the Colts, week 2 against the Chiefs, week 3, Texans, week 4, Falcons. So I think we're looking at 3-1 for the Jaguars to start out the season, picking up off the momentum they left with last year, breaking the hearts of the Chargers. Wow. 27-0. And they came back and pulled that game out at home. This the logical one at Coach Staley gone. I said, give him one more year because you got to have a quarterback, in a running game. They got the quarterback, but when you're throwing it on every 3rd and 1 or 3rd and 2, what's the point of me even trying to stop the run if I know you're going to throw it and be one-dimensional? So, they got Kellen Moore as the offensive coordinator now in Los Angeles. That should be interesting. Austin Eckler, is wanting a trade and everything. We haven't had any movement on that front, so we'll see what happens as we get closer to training camp. And obviously, when the season starts, we'll keep an eye on that trade deadline. Washington versus the Cardinals, at Denver versus Buffalo, at Philly. See what they do? Bears on Thursday night, at the Falcons, at the Giants versus the Eagles, at the Patriots, at Seattle versus the Giants, at Dallas on Thanksgiving, the way it should be every single year, versus the Dolphins, bye week in week 14. That's a late bye. Rams in week 15 on the road, Jets 16 on the road, 49ers at home, and Cowboys at home to finish it off. Cowboys and Washington. I don't know if I said the R word. If I did, I apologize. I got passionate for a second. But, Washington and Dallas should be Thanksgiving every year. The stories you hear about Thanksgiving, Cowboys and Native Americans, that's Thanksgiving right there every single year. I don't know why I have to keep saying this. It's just the way it should be. I know we try to get more teams exposure, but if more teams want exposure, they should step up and host a game because obviously Dallas and Detroit were the only ones willing to do that back in the day. So, it is what it is, right? I'm just full of rage and passion. Y'all know that already. It comes with the territory. 2-5, coming at you with the NFL schedule release. So yeah, let's take a look in on this Boston game real quick, see what this going on. So, whoa, Celtics are up 42-28. with about 6:34 left in the second quarter. So Boston is killing it right now. So Mr. Logical is en route. We'll get him here in a second. Now, I just want to know who is expecting the Cleveland Browns to make a move this year. Deshaun Watson, another year back. Is he going to look better than he did last year? He started to come on, at the end of last season. So, can the Browns actually make a move and climb up in these standings in the AFC North? We got Kenny Pickett another year in Pittsburgh. I really like Kenny Pickett. Hands a little small, but I think he's a good quarterback. I think they got some good weapons. So, they got George Pickens from Georgia at receiver. I like that a lot. They traded Chase Claypool to the Bulls. The Bulls. Wow. Way to mix it up there. The Bears. So, I don't know. We'll see. So according to this, Philly, Miami, the Giants, the Patriots, and the Cowboys have the toughest strength of schedule. I'll believe it once I go over the Cowboys schedule. I gave you my thoughts on that. But yeah, I'm so excited for this football season. Me, I'm also a college football guy, but this is my first time making schedule release a big deal. So, I'm enjoying myself right now. Hope you're enjoying yourself as well. I think that last week, like I said, my Super Bowl pick was Philly and Baltimore, which I would love being from Baltimore, just to have such an I-95 rivalry like that, even though they don't play very much, but just the two cities in general, that'd be a great Super Bowl. I think Lamar Jackson against Jalen Hurts. So, Mr. Logical is still going with Kansas City. I believe he picked Kansas City over Philly in a rematch, so we talked about that. It would be the first rematch since Buffalo and Dallas in 93, 94. So, or 94, 95. So, we'll see what happens. I just think that we're in store for a big season this year. I think there's so many teams that can make moves, like every year there seems to be teams that come from the bottom of a division that come up to the top of the division. So let's think about this, so I'll save that one for Mr. Logical. I'll save that one for when he gets here. We'll get into that a little bit. I'm talking to him right now, I just, I'm so excited, y'all. I just can't even contain it. 44-28, Boston over Philly. 6:08 left in the second quarter. 1 second. So, now that we've seen some schedules, I would really be interested to see you all's thoughts. Of what you think your team's record going to be, who the division winners are going to be. Sports Reports is ordered on YouTube, Instagram, Twitter, all of the above. sportsreportao@gmail.com. Your boy 25, you got it on the screen. 2-Bit Reports on Twitter, MLDub25. If you want to get at me directly outside of the sports page, and then of course Mr. Logical at Fear My Wrath on Twitter. So y'all know how to get at us. We can't wait for it. We want the smoke. So I'm interested in this Jacksonville-Baltimore game coming up at the end of the season. Just to see. Those are two teams that I think have a chance to make some noise in the playoff. Because don't forget, now granted, Patrick Mahomes got injured and everything, had the ankle thing going on. But Jacksonville gave Kansas City a good game, which we expected because they had Doug Peterson, who came up under Andy Reid. So he knows him pretty well. And he's his own, creative coach himself. So, Super Bowl champion coach when he was with the Eagles. So, that was a good game. I think Jacksonville is here to stay. They have the best quarterback in the division right now. Obviously, like I mentioned, Houston and Tennessee, both drafted rookies this year, and also Indianapolis. But we don't know who's going to start for Tennessee. I said that Tannehill will probably start the season. I don't know if the Malik Willis experiment is over yet, but I think he's probably at the bottom of the depth chart. And I think Will Levis probably will start a few games before the end of the season. Hopefully it's not due to injury. I just think that Ryan Tannehill is going to either be ineffective or the team is just going to be that far out of contention come, say, week 12, that we may see Will Levis get the keys and see what he can do. Now, we'll see. Like I said, I like CJ Stroud. Houston still has a lot of holes. They still got Damian Pierce, rookie, came out of Florida last year, did really well. They lost Brandon Cooks. So, we'll have to see how that goes. I might have to make me a trip over there, about 3 hours away. So I might have to make me a trip over there this year. Maybe I can catch me a A&M and Houston game on back-to-back days. That'd be hot. So I don't know. We'll see. But schedule is out. Mr. Logic will be here in a few minutes. We're going to get into NFL expansion. I've heard some expansion rumors. There's been all the games in London, so there's been a sort of inevitability out there that the NFL is going to expand to Europe. So I don't want to just focus on the European part. I want to add some American cities too. And I'm sorry, no disrespect to St. Louis and Oakland, but I'm trying to look at teams that haven't had a team before. You've had your chance. I ain't going to say you messed it up, but Oakland, I still feel for you guys, man. Not only did you lose the Raiders, but now the A's are buying stuff in Vegas. So that's probably going to be an inevitability as well. The Warriors then moved across the bay to San Francisco, just left y'all out in the cold. So I want to know from Oakland fans as well and Oakland citizens that consider themselves Warriors fans. Are you still a Warriors fan, even though they just moved across the bay? So it's not like they moved out of the state. It's not like they moved to, Seattle or something like that. So are you still a fan? If they move, if you were a fan when they were in Oakland and they just moved to San Francisco, was that enough for you to change your fanhood or just not care anymore? I know a few of you were probably cheering for Sacramento 2 weeks ago in that series. So don't tell me any different because I won't believe it. So, score check real quick. Boston 46-32 with about 4:17 left in the second quarter. Jason Tatum still at 1 point, 0 for 7 shooting now. Jaylen Brown and Marcus Smart both leading the way with 11, or actually Malcolm Brogdon has 13 on 5 of 7 shooting. Let's check in on Embiid, who is now 1 of 7. He did tweak himself a little bit at the start of the game. One of the first possessions of the game, he kind of came up hobbling a little bit. And then we got James Harden, 4 points now on 2 of 8 shooting. So unfortunately, so far, this is that James Harden that we know and that we've gotten used to. I don't know. So Boston is in control right now, but it is at Philly, so don't count the Sixers out just yet. And I tell you, this game tonight between the Nuggets and the Suns is going to be something. We'll see if Devin Booker can go back to his 50-point ways. Kevin Durant is having an awful series from 3. I'll get you the numbers later as Mr. Logic will come into it. So as I mentioned, we're going to get into this NFL expansion. We're going to do some NBA recap, catch you up on the playoffs. Last night had some good games, teams fighting to save their lives. And then we're going to get into get it off my chest. A lot of my get it off my chest is going to be aimed at y'all. So like I said, give me the smoke. ML Dub 25, 2-bit reports. You know where to find us. So I'm interested to see the Raiders this year. They picked up Jimmy G, Garoppolo for those out there. I don't know. Like when I look at that division, they just seem to be at the bottom, but they do have the rushing champion, and Jimmy G has proven to be a winner. So could they unseat the Chargers in that second spot, or could they give Denver a little trouble? Week 12, Black Friday, first Black Friday game in NFL history, 3 p.m. Eastern, Dolphins and Jets. That's going to be a good game. Aaron Rodgers against Tua. Hopefully, we're praying for Tua to have an injury-free year, or at least from the concussion standpoint. We don't want to see him missing action. We don't want to see his career on the line. We don't want to see his life on the line. Because I tell you, watching that game against Cincinnati last year, Thursday Night Football, when he got smacked and hit the turf and threw his hands up. Woo! I try not to get emotional and I try not to, do the panic thing. But I was concerned about that young man. I'm surprised he even made it this far because I know he had the hip injury in college in the game against Mississippi State. So Tua is, he overcomes, he's able to fight adversity. I just don't want him to have to deal with that type of adversity going forward. Let the adversity be you're down to the Jets and got to make a game-winning drive, or, Buffalo's got after you and you got to break out for 10 yards or something along those lines. That's what I want to see from Tua. Miami brought back Jeff Wilson and Ryan Mostert. So, we're going to see. I think Miami's going to be good, but I don't know. Like I said last week, I was into the Jets. After looking at their schedule, we know who they're going to play. Like they play the same two divisions as everybody else in their division every year, and then there's a few other matchups sprinkled in there. But I didn't know that the games was going to come all together like that, back to back to back like that. So that's going to be tough. I'm interested to see Bijan Robinson. Mr. Logical was upset at the pick. I think he's come around now because even though they have Algier and I like to call him Corduroy, but Cordarrelle Patterson, even though Atlanta led the league in rushing last year, you do not pass on special talent like Bijan Robinson. I don't care what these people say. You don't take a running back in the first round. You don't take a running back. You know what? You take the player that you think will help your team win. You take the player that fits in your scheme. Listening to all these people is why all these teams in the NBA shooting all these threes. They were trying to out Golden State all these years and then wonder why Golden State was winning all the titles. You know what I mean? So, kudos on Atlanta for going outside the box and taking Bijan Robinson, and also props for not letting the Eagles get him. It is what it is, y'all. But I'm telling you right now, Bijan Robinson is going to be special, So let's look at this right now. 48-36, Boston over Philly. So, 12-point game, 2 minutes away from halftime. So, Doc Rivers, more blown 3-1 leads than any coach in NBA history. And I know that if they lose this game, that's going to be all the talk on the shows tomorrow. All the pundits are going to bring that up. And then, they're probably going to do some James Harden clowning, and, depending on how Joel Embiid finishes this game, he might get some criticism too, because he is the MVP. He put his stamp on the series last game, but I don't know what's happening right now. But Seattle and Dallas in week 8, that should be good. Or Seattle at Dallas in week 13, I'm sorry, that should be a good game. I mentioned that one. Jets at Cleveland in week 17. We'll see if some playoff stakes are on the line there. We're watching the NFL Network right now. The great Al Michaels, has arrived. I got the caption on, so I ain't going to read it because I'm sitting up here talking to y'all. But, just, watching a legend, But so NFL season coming up, right? And every team has their rivalry. So I've always wanted, if, and I know you've heard this question before, but it makes me think, so if your team, had lost, could you cheer for your rival to make the playoffs? So, if Washington was, 9-8, just lost a game to the Eagles or something, could I cheer for Dallas to help Washington get in the playoffs? And I know y'all gonna kill me for this, but I just can't do it. I will sit at home proudly on that sofa, but I can't root for Dallas in any capacity, y'all. I just can't. Can't root for Dallas. Can't root for the Florida Gators. Can't root for the Yankees. Can't root for the Lakers. Can't really root for the Celtics either, for what it's worth. There's just these teams that, you just don't want to see do well, no matter what the circumstances are. So, the Cardinals without Kyler Murray this year. So it's going to be a transition year. They got their new coach, from Philly. So, Mr. Gannon, so we'll see how that goes. I think he's going to be an all right coach, but it's going to be tough to judge him year one without Kyler Murray. You don't want any coach to have to step into that situation, but that's the job he chose. I might have held out for another year and try to get a team with a quarterback, because I don't even know what Kyler Murray is, even when he does come back. Just me. I think that, Bryce Young gets a lot of Kyler Murray comparisons just because of size. But I think that Bryce Young, Mr. Logical killed me because I wasn't trying to necessarily compare Bryce Young to Patrick Mahomes, but I was just trying to state that he's an improviser. He keeps plays alive. He does things that, not a lot of people do and can do. So, Bryce Young going forward, I think is going to be a really good NFL quarterback, provided he gains about 25 pounds, because I don't believe that weight at the combine. Y'all can say what y'all want, but I don't believe it. Ravens and Bengals, week 11, Thursday night football, and then at the Chargers. So, like I mentioned, there's some teams out here that got these schedules, just like the Ravens week 15 and 16, at Jacksonville, at San Francisco, and then they close with Miami and Pittsburgh. That's a tough 4-game stretch that, they would be lucky to go 2-2. And hopefully that's enough to keep them in the playoff race for their sake. And look at this. Oh, this man really picked the Dolphins to go 17-0, huh? All right, that's more like it. So yeah, I got them losing to the Chargers week 1. Beating the Patriots week 2, beating Denver, losing to Buffalo, beating the Giants, beating Carolina, losing to Philly, beating New England, losing to Kansas City, beating the Raiders, splitting with the Jets, probably beat Washington, beat Tennessee, lose to Dallas, and then split with Buffalo and Baltimore at the end. So I can see Miami. I say their ceiling is 12-5. 12-5 at best, provided they get breaks and everything like that. But I think that something like 10-7 will be more likely, which could still be good, which will probably still be good enough to get them into the playoffs. Like I said, looking at the schedule coming into last week, I had the Jets finishing second behind Buffalo and Miami finishing in third. But looking at the schedule, I might have to flip that, but we'll see. But we're going to get some good games this year, Buffalo and Cincinnati, I still can't believe Buffalo let Cincinnati come in their house and give them the mollywop in the Buffalo weather. Now, I know it snows in Cincinnati, but this is Orchard Park. That was, Buffalo, I might be a little mad because I picked them to win the Super Bowl or get to the Super Bowl last year at least. You know what I mean? But, we got a halftime score right now. Boston 50, Philly 43. Jason Tatum, guess what, y'all? Stuck on 1 point. He's 0 for 10 finishing the first half. Marcus Smart, the leader, with 15 points on 6 of 8. Malcolm Brogdon, like I mentioned, 13 points on 5 of 7. Al Horford is now 0 for 3, so that's 0 for 10 in the last 2 games. Joel Embiid with 12 points, but he's 6 for 6 from the free throw line, 3 for 9 from the field. Harden with 6 points, 0 of 4 from 3, 3 of 10 overall. So, we got a game. Philly made a little comeback right before the end of the half. So we'll see if they can send Boston home or not. So, we'll see. Mr. Logical is en route. But yeah, I can't wait, to see Miami tomorrow night against the Knicks, because everybody told me that the NBA playoffs was going to be better with the Knicks. The NBA playoffs have been good, but hardly because of the Knicks. So, I'm tired of this, this big market thing. I know me and Mr. Logical get into this a lot because I get into the whole NBA wants the big market because it's a business at the end of the day. It don't got to be rigged, but it is a business at the end of the day. You want New York, you want LA, you might want Boston just because they're a storied franchise. You don't want San Antonio. You don't want it. You know what I mean? You don't want the Cleveland Cavaliers unless they have LeBron James. You don't want New Orleans. You don't want Charlotte. So it's not rigged. But I know who you are. I know who y'all are out there. This is what y'all want. Like, I remember, big passionate sports fans that I know, a couple of years ago, we had Phoenix, Milwaukee in the finals, and they were saying they hadn't even watched a series because, LeBron wasn't in the playoffs. Look, you're either a basketball fan or you're not. Like, imagine I'm not going to watch the NFL playoffs because Patrick Mahomes ain't there, as if there isn't a Joe Burrow or Josh Allen or Trevor Lawrence or Justin Herbert. Like, get out of here with that, man. And we see Mr. Logical setting up, getting ready to join us here in a second. We're on commercial right now for the schedule show, but I'm looking at the Lions schedule on the ticker. They got Green Bay on Thanksgiving, at the Saints week 13, at the Bears week 14, week 15 against Denver, 16 at Minnesota, 17 Saturday game against the Cowboys, and closing out with Minnesota at home. See, they know what they're doing with that schedule. Detroit and Minnesota to close out the season. Hopefully that game's for the division title. Packers starting Jordan Love. So we're going to get the Jordan Love era underway potentially. Week 7 at Denver, 8 against Minnesota at home versus the Rams, at the Steelers, week 11 versus the Chargers, at the Lions on Thanksgiving, like I mentioned. Kansas City, week 13, week 14 at the Giants, week 15, Tampa, week 16 at Carolina, week 17, Sunday Night Football at Minnesota, and close out the season as they should with the Chicago Bears. You know, we got the Texans at the Ravens versus the Colts at the Jaguars versus the Steelers. Week 5 at Atlanta, week 6 against the Saints, week 7 bye, week 8 at Carolina, week 9 Buccaneers. So, you know, I think that's a pretty manageable schedule for a team starting a young quarterback. You know, they don't have anything to necessarily be afraid of. You know, it gets a little tougher later with Dallas, Jacksonville, Denver, at the Jets. They got the Browns in week 16, you know, but, you know, I mean, Houston, if you're looking at it, if Houston can win 5 games, that's a successful season, especially coming off last year. So, you know, and I think that's possible. I think 6 games are possible looking at the schedule so far. Now, the Colts, it just depends on if Anthony Richardson is the goods, you know, like he broke all the combine records for a quarterback. You know, he turned into Michael Jordan for a couple of hours, you know, but what can he do on the actual football field? Because me and Mr. Logical saw him throw for less than 60% of his passes, you know, completion percentage. So is the guy a jumper or is he a quarterback? I need to know. We're going to find out real quick because he's going to be starting week 1, I'm assuming. You know, Mr. Logical setting up. I see him. He got his notes in hand. You know, does Mr. Logical know that at halftime, Jason Tatum only has 1 point? Does Mr. Logical know that?
Yeah, I know. I saw it. I don't even know why he kicked it out to him for the jumper at the end of the quarter.
Yes.
Maybe
So, ladies and
Smart was trying to get him going. Mr. Logical's in the building.
He's here.
Yeah, I mean, so
he's here. I'm gonna take a sip of water now. You know what I'm saying? I was letting everybody know, you know, starting tomorrow, 2-5 daily, you know, picking a random sports topic, 2 to 3 minutes, YouTube only, exclusive. So, you know, coming at you. Yeah, I've been looking at the schedule. And, you know, last week we were talking about the AFC East. And we differed on, you know, I picked the Jets to finish in second place. You picked Miami. After looking at the schedule, and I know they play the same teams and everything for the most part, but just the way the games line up, you know, I think I might have to be switching my pick, you know, and picking Miami ahead of the Jets. But we'll see as we get closer to the season.
All right, let's see what we got here.
You know,
check the schedule out.
Yes, I'm watching
going here.
Yeah, I'm watching the NFL Network. You know, some of these teams just got some back-to-backs, man. You know, I mean, we talked offline about Jacksonville playing in London back-to-back. You know, just move them already.
So, league schedule. What we got? So, Kansas City at Detroit. I guess they are really gonna ride that hype train of Detroit's back.
And they're hoping, and I saw Detroit and Minnesota in week 18. So, you know, they're hoping that that's for the division title. I'm hoping that's for the division title.
I mean, it should be. I don't know why.
I mean, unless Jordan Love is something that we not thinking.
Yeah, but he would have to be extraordinary in his first year to take the team back from freaking, what is it?
I mean, all they got to do is
8 or 8-9 with a legend.
All they got to do is play some defense.
They lost all of the pieces.
They still got the running backs in place.
Yeah, do they run the ball a lot?
They're going to start.
Does Matt LaFleur have a lot of run plays in that playbook?
He better get them.
All right, cool. Well, I mean, you're banking a lot of hope on should and get.
I'm not hoping at all.
Win right at the gate, Atlanta, Carolina. Of course, it's a 1 o'clock slot.
Oh, yeah.
Atlanta's never going to get another primetime game.
You know, Miami and Kansas City, week 9 in Germany. You know, that's going to be a good one.
You got Miami and Kansas City, week 9 in Germany?
Yeah, up in Frankfurt. Maybe a potential expansion, you know, team. We'll get into that in a second.
Germany, I mean, you do have more. You have a substantial number of military bases there.
Well, I mean, if you're going to have,
if you have enough. I don't know if you have enough sports fans. I don't know if Germany
Well, I
Germany's
imagine.
not notorious for being like sports fans.
No, I know, but I mean, we had the Rhine Fire in the World League and everything, NFL Europe. But just from the standpoint, if you're going to add a London team, because I know you're big on that, thinking that that's going to happen and be inevitable, you got to add something. They got to have some local games around them. They can't come
I
to the
mean,
states for every
but
game.
but that's the thing. United Kingdom fans are just basically, I mean, up until 1776, we were all one hood. You know what I mean? So it's like we kind of have that same persona. Like Central Europe doesn't really have that fanatic aspect to their
Hey,
personality. Like
all I know is
everybody's into football, but
if London gets a football team, we got to absorb the Barcelona Dragons. That's all I know.
yeah, the most you'll be able to get is probably the UK because it's English. Speak English.
So are you
They
just going
already
to
they're already like just conglomerate of football, the
so you
traditional world soccer fans.
Yeah, I was going to say
They're
you're just
already
going to have the
fanatics.
NFL. You're going to have the NFL version of the Premier League.
Yo, it's
London against Liverpool.
there's I think like I said, we'll get into the deets of that when we hit that topic. But looking at the schedules, we got the international games, Ravens in London on the 15th to take on the Titans,
Yep.
Dolphins, Chiefs, Colts, Patriots. I don't really like the marquee teams playing in Europe because it's like I think the fact that it's an American football game is gonna pack
No matter who you send.
no matter who you send.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
I
You can
think they've
send
been getting used to getting the Jacksonville games, the Giant games, the
send
Chicago
Carolina,
game.
send Carolina and Indianapolis.
Carolina versus Chicago is
Yeah.
going to sell 40,000 because I think they're playing in smaller stadiums. I know Wembley, one of the stadiums is massive, 70,
Yeah, Wembley's
80,000
pretty
seats.
big. Yeah.
But I think the one at like Tottenham and some of these other places are like 40. They're like traditional soccer stadiums. So if you can sell out 40,000 seats and it'll look crazy packed because it's
Right.
every seat's full and it's they're great looking stadiums because they're designed for soccer with the big open roof. So I think it'll be just kind of a dope look. But
Right.
I think you can sell out 40,000 seats Chicago versus Detroit in October.
I mean, I don't think they're going to put a division game over there though. But what did the Jets do? Like, what did Aaron Rodgers do? So they got Buffalo week 1. Kansas City week 4, Philly week 6. I mean, granted, they're all at home, but you're automatically looking down the barrel of 3-3 potentially. Like
for the Jets?
Yeah. So when I looked at the Jets schedule, they had the full breakout on the screen. I said that I had them starting 3-4, like 4-3 was probably going to be their best because even if they don't lose all 3 of these, coming off of playing these games, there's a potential to slip up against your next opponent. And then so this is what it was. So they got Buffalo week 1 at home. They're at Dallas in week 2. Kansas City at home in week 4. The Eagles at home in week 6.
Well, you just gonna skip over the Patriots in week 3?
Yes, I'm gonna skip over the Patriots. Hey, hold up, wait. You know why? I'm gonna skip over that. But they got the Chargers in week 9. So like, I don't know who set up this schedule, but I don't know if they don't like Aaron Rodgers or they just think that Aaron Rodgers is going to be a star. I don't know. Like, what's your takeaways?
I'm looking at something. Oh, we're at Met. Oh, okay. Got Atlanta.
Oh, Patrick Mahomes.
Life.
No,
we got Atlanta at MetLife.
No, you got Patrick Mahomes. We ain't talking about Atlanta. We got Patrick Mahomes.
No, I'm just looking at the schedule.
No, I know.
I'm just looking at how it lays out for the Jets. I didn't think that was going to be a home game. They switched that because originally I saw like the original schedule, and that was going to be an away game. But the only thing that sucks is December. It's cold off the Hudson.
It is.
It's cold. But I mean, I think people feel like the Jets are quarterback away. Mm-hmm. I can't recall in recent years where that has been the narrative, and then the team goes out and the first move they make like puts them over the hump.
Right.
As far as like a free agent or a trade. because everyone felt the same way about Denver. Denver was a quarterback away with that defense. They're quarterback away. Got Russell, didn't work out. San Francisco was a quarterback away. They trade up to get Trey Lance, end up running it back with Jimmy Garoppolo with less draft capital.
Yeah, Jimmy Garoppolo in Vegas this year.
Yeah, that's just gonna be a show.
I don't know if you want to
for your $1 million section.
I don't know if he still got them connects with Kendra Lust, but if not, you know, he could find some other things out there.
Hey, I mean, he's in the Sin City. It's a great city, but he'll definitely be able to put out one tweet and have his hotel room popping.
I'm definitely looking forward to Miami against the Chargers in week 1. You know, that game will be in LA. You know, Miami goes to Kansas City week 9. So Tyreek Hill, we saw the Facebook talk. We saw the talking trash. The Chiefs are waiting on Tyreek to show up. You know what I'm saying? We'll see if they eat those words.
So we're just doing a preview, but you said you got potentially the Jets.
I just don't like the way the Jets schedule sets up. Like, you know, I knew the teams they were going to play. You know what I mean? So like you had an idea, but you just didn't know the order of the games, and you know, looking at some of those back-to-backs, you know, just doesn't. Especially, you know, Aaron Rodgers is new there. You know what I mean? Like, so I imagine the first 2 games, Buffalo and I believe it was Dallas. You know, at home against Buffalo and at Dallas. That's going to be a tough way to break in with a new team, I think.
That's going to be a tough game playing against the New York Jets on 9/11. That's going to be a lot of emotions. It's going to be charged up. I imagine it's going to be some kind of tribute.
You know what? You could have gave me Giants and Jets that day. You know what I mean? They play later this season. That could have been week 1. But I guess you got to have the marquee matchup against Buffalo to start the season.
I think, but Giants Jets on 9/11. I mean,
why not?
That sells itself.
Well, only because they play each other later in the season. You know, that's the only reason I said that.
New York versus New York, celebrating New York.
Yeah, as full as New York are themselves, why not give them both teams at the same time?
Listen, I mean, it's the greatest city in the world, but
I mean, that's
gone over that.
That's why their teams play in Jersey.
Just how they're like, there's a million times more postcards of New York
Brick City stand up. Brick City got that pep. You know what I'm saying?
They play a little north in Newark.
You know what I'm saying?
There's just no space in the city. What are you gonna play at Shea Stadium still, or play at Yankee Stadium? You know how hard it is to get to the Bronx? It takes forever.
Yeah,
I like them in East Rutherford. It's easy.
You know, real quick, you know, saying still at halftime in Philly, Boston 50, Philly 43. You know, Boston was up by 14 early. Philly cut it down to 7. Joel Embiid came up a little hobbly earlier, but he stayed in the game. You know, he's hitting all his free throws, not so much from the field. James Harden.
It's like 86% from the free throw line.
I know. That's wild for a big man.
His ability to shoot from the free throw line just makes me wonder, why isn't everyone that good from the free throw line?
His ability to shoot from the free throw line that well makes me wonder how Philly hasn't made an Eastern Conference Finals yet.
Because trust the process, and they don't have any real assets.
You know, but you know, you had a chance to look at the Falcons schedule.
I'm gonna pull it up here in a second. I mean, I'm never really optimistic in regards to my team. I mean, I did pick them to win the division, but that's just because I think everybody else is not really that.
Yep, and
nobody's really gonna stand out.
Yep, and I went over that for the fans. I recapped all of our picks, so they're in the know. You know, saying just like I'm happy because every year all I ask for is Washington and Dallas on Thanksgiving. Just like you said, the New York thing writes itself. You got to have, well, we're not Native Americans anymore, but Cowboys, you got to have them on Native. You got to have it on Thanksgiving. But real quick, you know, saying I'm looking at Washington's schedule. You know what I mean? Looking at the home games right now, I feel pretty good. You know, Cardinals to start the season in week 1, probably taking an L to Buffalo in week 3. You know, got the Bears on Thursday Night Football because, you know, that's the rematch from when we went to Chicago last year on Thursday Night Football. Eagles week 8, Giants week 11, Dolphins week 13, Niners 17, Cowboys 18. So, you know, at best, I say 3-5 in those home games. You know, so that's projecting a win over Arizona. Maybe a win over Chicago and a win against either the Giants or the 49ers. And then on the road at Cleveland, Ravens, Bengals. So who set up that schedule where we're going to play all these teams? Oh, I'm sorry, that's preseason. My bad. So at Denver, week 2, at Philly, week 4, at Atlanta. I think we could go into the Dome and win. Desmond Ritter. At the Giants, at the Patriots, week 9, at Seattle. So we ain't winning there. Dallas, week 12, Rams, week 15, Jets, week 16. So at best, right now, first guess. At best, I'm going 6-11.
That's at best.
That's at best. Because I don't know what Sam Howell is. I mean, like, even if you believed in him in college, which I thought he was a good college player, he was still a 5th-round draft pick. Once he got some hype in his senior year and got some Heisman fanfare, he ain't do shit.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So, I mean, everybody was happy because he beat Dallas, but Dallas just wasn't ready for that game.
Dallas is just one of those, they're just temperamental at best. And sometimes they play well, sometimes they don't. They say you play up for certain competition. They probably looked at it like whatever. And then most football games are 1-possession games anyway. So if you make 2 mistakes, you're pretty much in a position to be down, a couple possessions because you're giving up in the back and forth. You can't just give up possessions.
Hey, so you remember who I picked to win the AFC North last week?
You picked the Ravens, didn't you?
Don't like the schedule. Don't like the schedule. I'm looking at the schedule right now, and so here's a 4-game stretch right here. So week 9, Seattle. Week 10, Cleveland. Week 11, Thursday night football against Cincinnati, and then at the Chargers, week 12. So I don't like that 3-game stretch, and then I also don't like weeks 15 through 18. At Jacksonville, at San Francisco, at home against Miami, and then finishing it up with Pittsburgh at home. I don't like neither one of those 4-game stretches.
So I'm not concerned with their stretches because I think they get a bunch of layups early.
They do.
So I got them 1-1 after 2 weeks because I got them losing to the Bengals.
Losing at Cincinnati. I can see that.
They beat the Colts. They beat the Browns.
Steelers are a toss-up.
But
they should win. They should.
So I got them 4-1 up against the Titans. Titans week 6. They're starting Will Levis.
By then already?
Oh yeah. They're gonna be sick of Tannehill.
Okay.
His ankle's gonna bother him.
All right. Detroit in week 7.
Detroit. A lot of teams that don't. This is something that happens a lot. A team that people kind of picked a year early, and they give you like a taste of their talent, whatever the case may be, often gets overpicked the following year, i.e., Denver last year. I'm gonna use Denver as a light example because they're like your standard cautionary tale. I think the Lions are gonna be the same thing. I think the Lions are probably hover around 8-9, exciting. 7-10, something like that. Nothing crazy. So I got them. So about week 8, man, like up to.
I'm looking at 11-6.
I got them 8-1, 7-2 at worst. Back to the Browns because I have no faith in the Browns. I got them 8-2 after 10 games.
I got yeah, I could see that, but I got them 7-3.
Who's the 3?
I got at Cincinnati, at Pittsburgh, and then I'm gonna put some faith in my Lions.
Nah, I don't see it, and it's okay. It's late October in Baltimore, outdoors. Jared Goff, California kid.
Hey, I'm pretty sure people said that about Lambeau Field in Week 18 last year too.
Oh yeah. But I think they're motivated just to get Aaron Rodgers.
But I think that late 4-game stretch is what I got my eyes. The closing 4 games. That's what I got my eyes on. Like I'm not
So
necessarily.
14. So you
I'm
talking
starting with
about
15. Starting with 15.
Jacksonville at Jacksonville, 49ers. I have zero faith. I don't say zero faith in the 49ers because that's kind of dismissive. I just don't think they'll have the quarterback
I can
situation
see,
figured out
but
by then.
I can see their defense giving Lamar trouble and keeping it low scoring.
Hey, how'd the defense do against Philly last year when Brock Purdy went out?
They ain't do so well.
They didn't do it. They didn't do well at all.
They
They
ain't
didn't
do
do
so
well at
well.
all. How'd that defense do when they went to Atlanta and lost by 2 touchdowns? They were basically down by 2 touchdowns all game. The de-
I don't
I
remember
think,
that one that well.
yeah, I do. I do. I remember a lot of turnovers, a lot of big plays by the Dirty Birds, but just I think people just kind of they have selective memory with Shanahan and the 49ers because everyone picked them to be it. And
Mhm,
every year they do the same thing. They get you to one point, they just break your heart.
mhm,
But then they do one move that doesn't make them a power. It's not a power move. But
mhm.
people have been trying to sell us on Sam Darnold. Listen, I bought a BMW. It's a nice car. I like it, but it's got a lot of miles on it and it needs work. Just because it says BMW on the front doesn't mean I can go tell everybody, like, yo, it's a BMW. It's legit. I know it needs work. I can't front. Sam Darnold is that. He looks the part. 6'3", 6'4", big arm, strongest arm. Yeah, strong arm that he throws to no one, or he overthrows, or he has like the same amount of games,
Mhm,
interceptions, and touchdowns.
mhm,
Like just the definition of mediocrity. But he goes to San Francisco. Oh, with that running game, yeah, the running game is great if I
mhm.
think the dude can throw to Kittle. But if all you got is Kittle and you handed the ball off to your other best wide receiver, I'm gonna put 8 dudes in the box and say, Sam Darnold, hit that post route. I'm gonna play cover 3 and say, can you hit this route? No, you can't, and we're gonna win. You're
I
gonna
must.
see ghosts. I'm just sick of like just people not looking at football. Like history does people don't just change.
Mhm.
Like Patrick Mahomes wouldn't go to another team and be awful.
Right,
Like
right.
right now in his prime. So
Geno
Zach
Smith
Wilson,
might.
Geno Smith took some years of some tutelage and listening and
Yeah.
sitting around and studying, and then he got average. It looks crazy because people have written him off, but he just
Mhm,
ascended to like, oh, he ascended to what Tannehill can give you. Everyone hates on Tannehill's performance. People hate on what Jimmy Garoppolo can give you. That's the chunk. That's most of your quarterbacks. That's your quarterbacks 9 through 22 are pretty much getting you the same thing. Those guys 23 to 34, yeah, they're probably pretty mediocre. From Dak Prescott, Kirk Cousins, that's what you're going to get a bunch of dudes in the middle there. Sam Darnold's outside of that. Geno Smith snuck into there. Tannehill's mixed into there. Matt Ryan's last year was like in that little mix of like that 9 and 22
mhm, mhm.
out of the quarterbacks. The top 7 to 8 guys are the guys who are leading, who are the top 4 seeds in each conference in the playoffs. Like those are those guys. So San Francisco gets Sam Darnold, and you still got Brock Purdy injured. You still got Trey Lance
And
injured. Trailers draft capital for it.
but
Any other team that had this many questions at quarterback would not be getting picked because their defense is high.
see, San Francisco is like it's the toughest schedule for me to go over. You know what I mean? Like because I'm the way I'm looking at this, and I ain't trying to be disrespectful to 49er Nation out there, but I'm thinking I see like I think I see like 8 and 9.
Which is not unreasonable when you enter a season with 2 injured quarterbacks and an unproven guy that's on his third team. Any other, if
That's
Houston,
that a third guy on his third team that sees ghost.
yeah, like unproven guy on his, not even like you got unproven and B diving on the floor all 300 pounds trying to win it. So you have, ooh,
Hey, they got it back down to 5 though. Oh, somebody hurt.
yeah, something weird happened.
All right, I guess I'll
Hold
turn. I
on,
guess I'll turn my channel back to the game. Then
hold on. My bad. Like this live action, Jalen Brown took a bad spill, like it was wet or something.
Mm-hmm.
And they still haven't stopped play. Like he slipped awkwardly, and he's like pointing to the floor, and they didn't do anything. They're just playing. Like this should be a referee timeout situation. He's still pointing to the floor. Hold on, let's see. Did he slip?
Oh,
Yeah.
Jaylen Brown. Oh, he did. Yeah. That's a bad slip too.
Yeah, and then he was like saying, like, yo, and then they didn't clean up where he fell. So he
Hey.
slips. He slips here.
Yeah, Embiid.
Then bounces, falls, slides, and they still didn't sit anybody out to clean out. They just kept running the plays. Like, stop the game for 30 seconds and dry the floor off.
Hey, so
yeah, he looks to be all right.
Yeah.
So San Francisco, my bad. I got a little sidetracked with the fall.
Yeah. Yeah. So like I said, I think I see 8 and 9 at best.
So
and even that's tough. Like even the 8 is tough.
So Steelers.
That could be a toss up.
I'm gonna go.
But it's on the road. Tomlin. It's on the road though.
I'm gonna take Mike Tomlin in that one.
Yep, I agree.
So which way is it? San Francisco always beats the Rams, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Except for that one time in the NFC title game.
In SoFi. I'm gonna go week 2. Stafford is healthy right now. None of the San Francisco quarterbacks are. I'm gonna say the Rams win that. Danny Dimes in San Francisco on a Thursday. Well, a prime video. So yeah, Thursday night game. So that's a short turnaround. They don't leave the state.
I think it's a toss-up, but I think they win that one just because of the logistics.
For
San Francisco.
Giants?
For San Francisco.
You're saying San Francisco is going to win because they don't leave the state, like they basically play in LA.
Well, it's like
right back up to San Francisco.
I don't have the numbers. I don't have the numbers in front of me. Jason Tatum's still missing shots. I don't have the numbers in front of me, but road teams don't do very well on Thursday night.
Well, nobody did well on Thursday night last year.
Well, just from the standpoint,
flag football game.
Well, just from the standpoint that they're traveling on the short week as well, So, and I don't know.
Is it okay? Is that I hear that, and we talk about this. Traveling on a short week, they have a private jet. So when the Giants game is over, so the Giants week 3 game, we figure they're going to be in a 1:00 slot.
Mm-hmm.
That game's over at 4:00, 4:30 Sunday. They're on a private jet realistically by 9:30, 10 o'clock.
Still beat up.
And they're in California, which they go back in time. So they get back 3 hours. So it's a 5-hour flight, give or take 5 hours. I think it's 5 hours to San Francisco, that airport.
Sounds about right.
So they get in at 11 p.m. on the West Coast. And now they sit, rest Sunday, Monday, Tuesday install, Wednesday walk through, Thursday play the game. I mean, it's tough. I think it's tough for everybody. Because the main thing, I think San Francisco is going to get beat up in LA,
mm-hmm.
and they got to come back north. And granted, the flight from LA to San Francisco is only like 45 minutes.
And we got a 2-point game in Philadelphia, ladies and gentlemen, 62-60 Celtics. Yeah, so
1-3, 1-4.
Then they get Cincinnati pretty quick after that.
2-5, 2-6, 2-7, 3-7. 3-8, 3-9, 3-10.
I said I wasn't going to be disrespectful, San Francisco, but it sounds like Mr. Logical is
4-11. They got to come from San Francisco to Maryland.
Oh, they ain't going to lose to us.
Yeah, your quarter. If
they got our number for some reason. Like whenever we play them, we always play them tight. They're always way better.
5-11.
We might be starting Jacoby Brissett by then.
Yeah. So
if we start Jacoby Brissett, we're going to beat San Francisco.
6-11 to 5-12 is best I can give San Francisco.
Okay, that's going to be interesting once the season starts.
Yeah, especially when it starts to play out. Like, yo, this dude was really right. Simply because you need at some point in a game against. When you have the Giants, even though people might not think Daniel Dimes is top, whatever the case, he is their established quarterback. You have your established running back. you have your system in place.
Mm-hmm.
You got to beat that out. The Cardinals are going to be playing with Colt McCoy starting. Did they sign
Possibly.
anybody? Or
Possibly.
are they going to go pick up Carson Wentz for Mike Glennon with the neck? I don't know what they're doing
Hey,
there.
you know what? In that division, they go get Carson Wentz. They might go 8-9.
If he knew to throw the check down and knew to throw it away, he would be all right.
Yeah, because the Rams don't have Ramsey anymore. We'll see what Stafford looks like. I
Yeah,
think he's
if
pretty
if
healthy, but we'll see
Stafford
what he
if
looks like.
Stafford is healthy, then I think he can do what he did for Detroit. He can throw you a couple victories that you shouldn't have. I just don't think San Francisco has that guy that can throw you a victory. I
Yeah,
mean,
the Rams.
you
Yeah,
can
the
give it to
Rams could finish
McCaffrey all
second.
day long.
The Rams could finish second.
Yeah.
I think Seattle. Like I picked Seattle last week. I'm sticking with Seattle so far. Of course, we'll revisit this because I'm sure we're going to have injuries and all this stuff over the summer. So
Yeah.
we'll see what happens. But I'm sticking with Seattle for now. But
If your key players play 70 to 75% of your games, uh, then you should be all right. But I'm looking, I say real quick on the schedule before we go to the expansion because it does kind of tie in because Atlanta will be playing in London. We got rookie Bryce Young, week 1, Frank Wright, head coach. I don't know what his imprint was in Indianapolis.
mm-hmm.
So I'm going to give us a win there. I don't know what Green Bay can do with Jordan Love. I'm gonna go ahead and take that. I think Jared Goff and the Lions are established. They got their identity. I think that might be a loss. The London game with Jacksonville um, depends on how well we're running the ball at that point, keeping Trevor Lawrence. But Atlanta did bulk up the defensive line. I'm just going to give.
I got y'all 2-2 starting out.
Yeah. So I'll be honest. I'm not gonna speak like a fan. I'm gonna speak like a real analyst. So I got 2-2. Houston's a win. I got Washington's a win.
Mm.
Tampa Bay with Baker Mayfield's a win. So I got 5-2. 5-2 up to Tennessee on late October.
Mm-hmm.
Depends on who Tennessee runs out there because I'm not sure. Like, I don't know if Vrabel's really got the locker room because it seemed like those guys kind of fall apart because they didn't really lose any talent. They went from number 1 to not making the playoffs.
Well, it's so weird because I think he's a good coach, but they traded.
Is he though?
I think he is. I mean, as much as a good coach could be. I mean, he's won. He got to the playoffs with Tannehill. You know what I mean?
Is he a good coach or is he Dan Campbell with a couple of good years?
Well, I don't know because you got to remember they traded AJ Brown. They drafted an overweight dude from Arkansas to replace AJ Brown.
Overweight. He just was sick. He was sick at practice,
and he couldn't handle the heat. You know what I mean? And then
it happens.
And then you got what else? They let my guy go, Adoree Jackson. They let him go. So I mean, I think they've had some losses over the years. And James Harden getting one of his calls again, but we got a tied game in Philly, ladies and gentlemen. I don't know.
I like if I don't know what the rankings are of like easiest schedule, but best, as I'm looking at this,
at best,
it's top 5 easiest schedule for sure.
At best, I could give him breaks with some breaks. I could see 11-6.
Okay.
But
that's because you're talking to me and I'm a fan.
No, it's because I just don't know.
The schedule is crazy.
The schedule is easy. The division. We talked about the division. We talked about the division. You know what I mean? Like there is a possibility that either Atlanta or New Orleans could like go 5-1 in the division.
This is how we'll just count this up real quick and then we'll go into expansion. We're gonna count the teams that are starting a new quarterback this year, whether it be a rookie or just a new guy for their team. Just counting those games.
Houston and Green Bay back to back.
3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Hold on, I'll have to count New Orleans twice. Okay, so So Carolina 1-2. That's the first year with this team, not a first year quarterback, but the
Right.
first year starting with this team.
Right.
Or obviously rookies are first year guys.
Right.
So Carolina 1, Green Bay 2, Houston 3, Washington. I guess we'll give him that one game, but
No,
essentially he's a new
I'll count
quarterback.
him as a new quarterback. Yeah.
We'll go 4, Baker Mayfield 5, whoever Arizona trots out there in November 6, Derek Carr in New Orleans 7, Aaron Rodgers 8, Baker Mayfield again, Carolina again 10, Indianapolis again 11,
But they
and
got
then
Michael
New
Jordan at
Orleans
quarterback.
again 12. But that's 12 teams that Atlanta's going to play when this quarterback is the first year starting for them, and a handful of them are rookie or second year guys, or quote unquote over the hill guys,
I mean,
or even
the only problem is
mystery guys. Like we have no idea who's going to be starting in Arizona.
the only problem is we don't know what Desmond Ritter is.
But that's the thing, Atlanta was top 3, top 5 in rushing last year.
I think they were number 1.
It was up there. I don't know if it was
Yeah.
like 1. I think it's like they might have been 1 in the category like attempts per game, but they might have been like third in yards or like rush attempts, or it was a couple of guys that were like over 1,000. Stuff like those kind of statistics that kind of like illuminate your running game.
Yeah.
But I don't think Desmond Ritter's a bad quarterback.
No, I don't think he's bad.
But I don't think he's a mistake. I don't think he's a mistake guy. I think he's probably going to be your quintessential. Let me get a guy. Let me try to think of a Jimmy Garoppolo. I think he's going to give you Jimmy Garoppolo kind of plays.
I can see
Hit
that.
this slant, hit this drag route, hit this corner route with the tight end. So either the tight end catches it or it goes out of bounds. I don't think it's going to be a lot of 4 verticals. I don't think they'll have a lot of passing concepts that like Philly runs.
Right.
Where it was like deep posts and all these crosses and you got to wait for I think it's going to be like, this is the read over here. This is the second one. If you get to this one, that's all you got. So either you got to roll, get out the pocket and get out of bounds, or get 3-4 yards and slide. Because he ran like a 4. I believe he ran like a 4.6, 4.65, 40.
Yeah.
So I know the year he in his combine, he had the fastest time for a quarterback. So he can move. You just would prefer him not to.
Right. And Niang with another 3. So 69-65 Philly with 1:50 left in the third quarter. So Philly came all the way back from 14 down. So we'll see if Boston can keep their season alive. Jaylen Brown on the fast break going 1-on-2 gets fouled. So, we talked about European expansion and everything. I wanted to look at expansion. There's been waves out there that we may get a European team or, just some form of expansion at some point. And maybe not even expansion, but just maybe a team that's currently somewhere going to move somewhere else. So, so from that standpoint, I told everybody earlier, I don't want to focus on cities that already had teams, St. Louis, Oakland, these places like that. You could do that if you choose to, but I'm not going to, because they had their chances. They had their teams. You don't get no more. If Seattle can't get the Supersonics back, for like 30 years or what? No, it ain't even that long. For like 15 years or whatever it is, y'all can't have a team back already. So what you got, man? What you think is a good city for NFL expansion?
Inside of the lower 48?
Sure.
None. I think
none.
I don't think there's any city that I can really think of that's like starved for a team.
None.
Like we talked about Virginia, like I talked about that for a while, but logistically, where would you put it? Where would you put the team? South Carolina, that's college football country. Most of those are Panthers fans or they're Falcons fans. Texas is covered. Don't go into your territory.
Hey, there's a city that hosted the New Orleans Saints when Katrina happened that has 1.5 million people and is the 7th biggest city in the country.
Yeah, but
it got a dome.
You got 2 teams already.
Yeah, but so look at these. Okay, so look at it like this, right? This is the way I'm looking at it. So I guess New York has 3 teams, even though the teams play in Jersey. But they got
It
Buffalo
still
as well.
counts as New York
They
team.
got Buffalo as well.
New
You know,
York. Okay.
and then Florida has 3 teams. Jacksonville, Miami, and Tampa. And then California is well represented. I mean, the Raiders left, but you still got the 49ers, the Rams, the Chargers. I don't think I'm missing anybody. So like, why can't Texas have 3 teams? I mean, and I'm because like just looking at San Antonio, I mean, I'm not doing the thing because I'm living in San Antonio, but I'm just looking at population, and it doesn't even have to be San Antonio. It could be Austin. Even though Austin,
Your fan, where are you going to get your fans from? If you bring a team in the state of Texas, where are you getting your fans from for that team?
That's a good question.
In the state?
That's a good question. But all I'll say is, you talked about being football starved. Texas is all about football.
Yeah, but how you gonna get there? Because like people see Texas on the map, and if you ever driven through Texas, you need to take like more vacation days because it takes forever to get anywhere. But when you get there, you got everything.
Mm-hmm.
Germany's a lot like that, where you go, you could drive, like that's why the Autobahn is no speed limit. People go, oh, there's no speed limit on Autobahn. Yeah, there's no speed limit because between this town and this town, it's nothing. Like this major city and this major city, like from Munich to Stuttgart, you're doing 100 miles an hour because they just
open road.
Just open road. Texas is the same way. So you put a team in. So you got Houston out there on the Gulf. Then you got San Antonio, more south central Texas. You got Dallas, which is north central. You're like getting your fans from like, what you can get them from El Paso. That's one long travel day to get to San Antonio for Texas.
I think San Antonio, due to like heritage, the Alamo, all that stuff, I think there'll be people that will gravitate towards a San Antonio team. And Austin is only about 70 miles away. So, like.
But aren't they all legitimately already hardcore Cowboys fans?
Possibly.
I know Houston. They had, but the Houston had the Oilers.
They had the Oilers back in the day.
So they had like people were kind of already in, like people probably weren't Dallas Cowboy fans in that region. So you throw a team back in there, boom, they're good to go. Same thing when the Browns left to go to Baltimore, you throw the Browns right back in Cleveland, and the fans came right back. Like all the records I think went to Baltimore.
Yes.
So
they started fresh.
So they started fresh. So like if you caught 6 touchdowns, you were leading receiver Browns history with the new Cleveland Browns. So I think Texas as a football, like Texas is one of those states where you could put like a new XFL team, USFL team, because people are starved in between college football and NFL. But I just don't know where you get your fans from. I don't know if you sell out a 50,000, 60,000 seat arena in San Antonio on Sunday if Houston and Dallas are both playing at 425.
Well, I don't know if Houston is the concern.
I mean, but it's like okay, if I'm already here, do I go to San Antonio?
Well, no, I just mean I just mean as far as people in San Antonio being Texans fans. That's what I meant.
Yeah, but I'm just talking about just people just having an outlet for a team. I know they were big, but I think when was Katrina? Was Katrina before?
It was 2006.
2005,
6. Yeah,
I think I was in Korea. When did Houston, the Texans? Was it after that?
No, I think the Texans was before that.
Or was it 2002 with Derek Carr, right? Or David Carr? It was
David Carr, the big brother.
Yeah.
Let's see. I got you. Keep talking. I'll look it up.
Yeah. So I like Texas. Like I said, XFL, USFL. I don't know if you can do NFL team. You said not back to St. Louis, just legit.
I mean, I think
my main thing is like
I like St.
move because I don't know if you can add a team because
you
already have 32 teams.
Yeah, so it was
2002. 8 divisions. Yeah. 2002. So we got
it was 2002. So don't I think St. Louis is a star. I mean, like St. Louis is the ultimate sports town. At least as far as their support of the Cardinals.
They had 35,000 people at the XFL games every week. They averaged like 34,000 fans.
St. Louis is a sports town. I just didn't want to. I mean, I think they're they go without saying is basically what I'm getting at. But I just didn't want to focus on cities that already had teams.
So so in your expansion plan, are you moving a team that's already in the league, or are you making a new one?
Now it depends, because if you go to London route, I would imagine that would probably be a new team unless it's going to be Jacksonville.
I got Jacksonville.
It could be because they go there every year anyway. They got the rapport.
They just lift right out.
They got the rapport.
It's like the third friend in a friend group that never comes out. And it's like, well, man, Jacksonville just never hangs out. So, you know, we can go ahead and just keep Miami and Tampa Bay. So you divide Florida in half. You got the Miami fans, you get Tampa Bay fans.
Well, I just don't know at this point.
Jacksonville.
At this point, besides Jacksonville, I can't really think of a sitting team that would move.
Getting the Chargers out of LA.
That could be a thing, but I think the Chargers business-wise want to stay in LA.
Stay on LA. Best case, you go south back to
maybe they could be the Anaheim Chargers of Los Angeles, you know.
Anaheim Chargers of Los Angeles. Get your own stadium, but I don't know what the SoFi Chargers, Rams, Stan Kroenke, Spanos family deal looks like.
They need to holler at Ballmer. You know what I'm saying? So, go holler at Inglewood.
I mean, if you're thinking about another city, maybe you put maybe I don't know if Portland's a big enough city.
See,
I'm trying to think of teams that already exist and trying to keep them in the same region so you don't have to realign conferences.
Yeah, so Portland was another city that I thought of. Talking to some local Portlanders, you know, they don't think that the city could support an NFL team. You know, which I don't see why not, because I know the Oakland A's, Portland was one of the cities that they were looking at. And I mean, all they really have there is the Trailblazers. I mean, they have the soccer team, the Timbers. You know what I mean? But I don't think Portland couldn't have a market.
I think Portland probably has a couple more Microsoft billionaires that are in that region, like people who were there in the beginning who got like a 2 or 3 or 5% stake that probably are worth about $1.5-2 billion, like that are just in that region, because Ballmer, he was in that region. You had Paul Allen, granted, you still got Bill Gates, so they essentially just made their money there and bought stuff there, bought land and bought the airspace of other houses so you can't fly over it and stuff like that.
Right.
I think London, because we were talking about London, and so I went to my handy source. My AI source called ChatGPT, because originally I went to Google because I had a question and I wanted to get one website that just kind of gave me like a list, because that's sometimes you just want a list. Like I want to, top 50, rap albums of all time as far as record sales. You might go to a website, man, you got to click through 50 different slides, and it's like, listen, I just want a list that I can read off on my podcast.
Yeah, so stop it with the slides, y'all.
Yeah, so I asked ChatGPT, what is the flight time from every NFL city to London? It gave me about half, but you can tell it's regional, so it's basically about the same number. So from the Jets, it's 7 to 8 hours from where they can fly out of Teterboro or one of these private places. New England, 6 to 7 hours. Cowboys, 9 to 10 hours. The Seattle Seahawks, for some reason, says 9 to 10 hours. I'm not sure how that math works out, but we'll call it 10. San Francisco 10 to 11, LA 10 to 11 hours. So you can get your private jet from West Coast to London in 10 to 11 hours. I know it's further, but a flight from Seattle to Miami is about 6 already. So I know it's 4 more hours. But if you put Jacksonville in London, then you're looking at a 2-hour flight. Maybe you do something for the teams that are playing. Maybe you play back-to-backs, or maybe you put them on the East Coast one week. You put Seattle against
like Baltimore or something. Yeah,
Baltimore, and they can fly right out of there. Or you put them somewhere where it's like a big hub where they can just get, like, boom, we're going to have you play out of Buffalo. We have you play a game out of Philly or something like that. And you can fly from Philly to London. So I don't think it'd be that crazy. And I think they rise out because they're a team on the rise. They have the quarterback. He has the quarterback face, the long hair, marketability. They
What?
sent them. They sent the team over there multiple years to Jacksonville. They probably have a Jacksonville fan base
Oh,
in
definitely.
London.
What what
So
uh what division do they play in?
they was just playing the AFC South still.
You know what I mean? Because like so that's why I asked the question earlier. Like, if you go London, do you have to start looking at Barcelona or other places like that?
I
Because
wouldn't go
that's a
to
little
any
further.
country.
Obviously, that's a little
Yeah,
further.
that's a little further. England, the UK in general, they're soccer hooligan fans already. So I
Yeah.
think they're already just really into fandom and team and fan ownership of
Go
teams.
Chelsea, by the way.
So like something like that in the wrong part of town. Like
Mhm.
for instance, I watched Ted Lasso, and this is a show on Apple TV. It's a great show. Well, he coaches a team, AFC Richmond. His son came to visit him, and they went and seen like a rival team. And after the game, they went to the AFC Richmond's pub, like a little local pub, and the lady who owns the bar, she came out, and the little boy showed her his shirt that he was wearing, like a different, like the rival team's
Mhm.
jersey. She was like, "Those fans don't drink here," and took his milk back. And they were like, "Come on." He was like, so she put the milk
And I know
down.
that's overboard, but I love that.
But she wouldn't give the other two guys the beer. She was like, if he can have his milk, for y'all bringing it here, you can't have a beer. But she eventually gave it to him. But like that's a real thing.
Yeah.
That's a real fandom. So
Yeah.
you can get, if you can tap into that, where people can still be, they can be fans of their traditional football, but then you give them the American football team to root for. I think it makes the most sense. You can't move the Jets because it has to be somebody from the East. It has to be a team from the East Coast that you move.
Mhm. Mhm.
Jets, Giants can't move. Commanders
Washington
can't
can't
move.
move.
The Ravens can't move. I mean, maybe the Panthers, if you start sending them over there over the next 3 years, maybe you have a Super Bowl there in 2030. I mean, the tickets are already so outrageous anyway. Most people in the States who watch the game can't afford to go. So
Mhm.
only people buying tickets are people who really have like this extra long money. I don't know where all these people are getting this money from. How they
Mhm.
sell out these stadiums for these $11,000 and $12,000 tickets or these $1 million boosts and all sort of craziness. But maybe you float the idea of having the Super Bowl in London by 2030, but you gotta get a team there by like
Mhm.
2027.
So
Give
what
it a
about
couple of years.
Canada? Canada out?
Canada, you would be able to get.
Because I know there was some talk about
I know
Buffalo and
Buffalo,
Toronto a few years ago. Mhm.
but I think Buffalo is like ingratiated to that town. It'd be equivalent of how Cleveland left to go to Baltimore. It's like
Mhm.
you took a team that's basically the identity of the city. And he's like, you know what? We out. Y'all won't build us a new stadium. We out.
Right.
Like the Raiders leaving Oakland was kind of like that, but people saw the condition of the field they were playing in.
Mhm.
So we can kind of understand. It's like, yo, you still got these dudes playing on a baseball field. Bo Jackson was playing on that field. Like, so we can kind of, as a fan, you can understand. Like, yeah, if I had a job that didn't give me a laptop, and I'm still working off a desktop, and it's 2023, we've been through COVID. Everybody has laptops. My kids get laptops, and your job can't offer you one. Another job, like, yeah, we'll give you a laptop and two monitors to take home to telework. You're like, I got a slot, and that's what
Yeah.
Vegas, like, yeah, we can give you a stadium right downtown.
So with the London thing in mind, could we see like Arizona to Mexico City? Because I know the NFL's been playing some games there, mostly 49er games. You know, they've been playing down there the last few
Mostly
years as
49er
well.
games. I think the NFL likes having a team in Arizona because you can always sell national championship game for college football. You can sell that arena
Mhm.
because you keep the fans, like you keep it as a sports town. You
Mhm.
move the football out, and then all of a sudden baseball might want to leave.
Mhm.
Hockey might want to leave. So it's like you
That's
keep
still
you keep
wild to
all the
me.
that they have a hockey team in
Yeah.
Arizona. Yeah,
Yeah,
you
that's still wild.
go to practice in shorts. Yeah.
But I know I was talking to some people earlier, and somebody bought, so Canada wise, I didn't like it, but somebody brought up Vancouver to me. I get the idea behind it because of the closeness to Seattle, but I just don't see it.
And I don't like. I think Canada already has their own league,
Right.
so there's no. I wouldn't see. I don't see it as a market
Hmm.
to send an NFL team there, even though it is quote unquote better in my personal opinion. I don't think it would be. It's not. It doesn't seem to. It doesn't have value added to the league to have
Right.
a
Right.
team in Canada.
Right.
If they play a couple of games in Toronto, maybe, but then you're taking it away from Buffalo because like those fans love that team.
Yeah, if
So
they if they
it's just
come up
hard.
if they come up with a Montreal Expo football team, I'm there.
That's the thing. It's like I just don't know. I just don't know where you get your team.
And then the other city that was thrown out to me was Oklahoma City. And I was like, why Oklahoma City? And then somebody told me, like, well, size wise, it's bigger than Baltimore. And I was like, yeah, I mean, that's true. They're like, well, it's bigger than Kansas City. Yeah, that's true. But I think they would run into that same problem you brought up earlier. Like a lot of Oklahoma's probably run by the Cowboys.
Yeah,
So you know what I mean? So I don't know if there would be a market. I mean, I imagine Oklahoma is passionate, like it's a college football state and everything like this. So I
yeah,
imagine they're passionate about football. But I just wouldn't think that, to use what you just said, it wouldn't be value added.
yeah. I think they would probably. I think they might be able to get more fans than a team in San Antonio
Mhm.
because they would be the new hot
Yeah, they're in
football.
a new state.
But I think the city of Oklahoma City, and I work with a lot of people who go to Oklahoma for training. Then they say Oklahoma City is cool.
Yeah, I've heard that
It's
too.
cool. It's
I
cool,
heard
but
I heard it's a nice place to go to
it's
since
like if you just put Baltimore by itself in the middle of the country, it's like it's not as cool. But you put Baltimore in between DC, Delaware, and Philly, it's all part of the whole DMV. It's all part
right,
of this conglomerate of entertainment that you can just.
right.
But if you just took boom and just plopped it in the middle, it's like, nah, we're not coming from. I'm not flying from Jersey to
Oklahoma City.
Oklahoma City.
Yeah. Well,
So
I mean, so, you know, what's the word, man? Who going home tonight? Boston on their way out of here?
for Boston, just for some reason, like I said, like we talk about this all the time. Jason Tatum and Jalen Brown are like built like the perfect tandem because they're both the same size, but they do different things very well. Um,
So what's my
but
favorite
they don't
question?
have they
What's
don't
my
have the. I need Jason Tatum and Jalen Brown to play with the energy of Marcus Smart.
so what's my favorite question about those two?
Like who's better?
Yeah, here's my second question. Is either one of them a number one?
Absolutely. I think Tatum's your one. I think Jalen Brown's your two.
I know,
I
but
just don't know why they don't give it to you.
well, I just feel like Tatum he goes missing so much in big games. Like i.e. the game we're watching right now. Now, granted, the thing that goes against my argument is game 6 in Milwaukee last year because he went into Giannis's house and put up 46 and got up out of there. Middleton was hurt and everything, of course, too. But,
Yeah,
but like I'm not so I don't think he's not a number one per se. I just don't know if he's a bona fide number one.
he's not a dog number one.
Yeah, because like
You
when I if I go
see
if I go
Kobe.
Kobe,
Kobe
yeah,
was a dog number one. Like
yeah,
you see it. You see Jordan. You knew he was. When you see Kawhi, when you see SGA, when you see like some other guys, Gary Payton,
hmm
Barkley, like old school,
Isaiah
Elijah,
Thomas.
Isaiah Thomas, you just
hmm
knew that Larry Bird, Magic, when they came to the arena and the camera was on them and the lights were the brightest, is like, I'm here no matter what. It could be two people in the stands, it could be 200 people, it could be 20,000. I'm here to bust whoever ass across from me all the time. And that's how I want to behave. I think Tatum just generally just a nice, good kid who plays basketball. I don't think he has I don't think he walks into the court with this metaphorical axe to grind.
If they don't get to the
Like other
finals this
players
year,
do.
if they don't get to the finals this year, or even win the finals, I wonder if in 2 years we're going to talk about him the way we talk about Harden.
No, I don't think
No?
so because I don't think so
Well, at least
because
Harden had MVPs and stuff.
Harden had MVP. I think Tatum. It's like I think we'll talk. I think we'll talk about him like the way we talk about Dame Lillard, where it was like, oh, we thought,
but he has the
he was
help
going to
though.
be
Like Dame doesn't have the team
they're
around
going
him.
to end up. They're going to end up probably assessing blame to the coach if this doesn't go right because
Well, they already extended him though.
Listen, man, these dudes have real money. They listen. If he's getting $25 million, that is probably a couple of nights of home games. 10 home games of profits, and they can send him literally on his way entirely. Like I don't know what else you could do.
Yeah.
I think it just might be a situation where remember LeBron and D Wade that first year when they lost to Dallas, and D Wade had to tell him when they were on the banana boat and vacation after the season,
like, yo, this is
like,
yours.
dog, you it.
Yeah.
You're the guy. So every night I need you to go out there and be the guy.
Well, Wade probably said something like, "It's yours, Daddy," something like that.
Stop it. Pause.
Okay.
You probably need to, like, I think Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum just need to have that instead of this kumbaya, like, yo, we in it together. It's got to be, yo, you are our 32 point a night guy. 32 points, 6-7 rebounds, 3 or 4 assists. I'll be the 24 8-8 guy. I'll be the defensive stopper. We gonna let you carry us with your offensive talent and your because he's a mismatch. If you look at Jason Tatum, 6'8", 6'9", we can handle the ball. You shouldn't be able to put a 6'3" or 6'4" guard on him. If you put a guy that's 6'10" on him, he's probably too big. So Jaylen Brown's a little bit probably, I won't say average, he's probably 6'7", 6'8", smart. Like I said, we talked about his intelligence all the time. I think they can make that work. Maybe you
At what point, I'm not saying now is the point, but at what point do you do something? I mean, they've been together 6 years now, made the conference finals 3 times, finals 1 time. Like, is it possible they've gone as far as they're going to go?
I think we kind of gloss over how difficult it is to win playoff series every single year. Draymond Green said it best. He was like, I've played like 3 or 4 or like 2.5 like extra seasons in just playoff games in the last 8 years. So to play a game, you start in October and you're playing through what we're at May 11th right now, and they're still playing. So this is only the second round. They've gotten to the Eastern Conference Finals every year, just extending themselves, and you're not going to win it every year. It's not like they look bad. They lost last year in the finals to a team with championship pedigree and a MVP who had an outstanding game when they were up 2-1. He came out, gave him 43, and just did what a dog does. Like I said, Steph Curry, I forgot to mention him as one of those guys that has that dog in him.
Except for
had that last 45-second dog, yeah. But which is mind-blowing. So I think they will do something because you're gonna look at your team. Like we saw something in the group chat, like their 2 extensions could be $613 million or something like that.
Yeah.
Between like this year and next year. I'm like, that's a lot of money. But Jaylen Brown, he is you put him on the trading block. Do you get a couple of really good pieces from Oklahoma City? Do you trade him and get Chet Holmgren and Josh Giddey? Do you package him and Marcus Smart together and get Holmgren and Giddy and what's the Dort or something like that.
Do you go get Dame?
Nah, because then Dame gives you the same problem. It's like Dame and Tatum give you the same problem as Brown and Tatum. It's like, who's the man in these streets?
Well,
but I think Giddy gives you a bona fide guard that can score, who's also mismatches like 6'7", 6'8", that his play style naturally will fit with Tatum. Like I think Jaylen Brown, his situation might be more like Mikal Bridges, where you sent him to Brooklyn, and all of a sudden he's dropping 30. You send, Jaylen Brown, New Orleans. You move him for Ingram and McCollum and a couple of pieces, whatever the case, and he'll probably drop 28 to 32 points. I think it's just a matter of because they're going to do something. Because, like you said, they're going to look and say, "We've been to this. We made it this far. We made it this far. We lost to this guy."
And I mean, he's also made some comments about the city that makes it sound like
he's not a fan. He wouldn't be opposed. He's not a fan. He's not a fan of the fans.
Yeah. Right. He wouldn't be opposed to leaving.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so I think, and it'd be probably a Western Conference team, or maybe somehow you get him to Miami, or Miami makes the move. Like, what do you package together to get him? I don't know if Miami has the assets because they're starting like a bunch of undrafted guys. So I don't know if they have. I don't know if he's his free agent status or whatever the case may be.
So is Phoenix going home tonight?
Back in Phoenix.
Game 6, no CP3, no pursuit of happiness.
Yo, that's one of those things. You have a friend that's in a relationship too long, and instead of breaking up, they get a lease together.
Yeah,
and you're like, dog, I should have split. That's what Phoenix and DeAndre Ayton. When he had his blow up last year in the playoffs, when they were built to go back to the finals, he just went. And he had to blow up on the sideline before the season really ended, before the game ended. It's like, sign a trade, get him to Miami, get Jimmy Butler and Bam Adebayo, whatever you can do. Whatever
what blows my mind? You know what blows my mind? So I like to look up these stats.
All right, I'm here. I'm listening.
And I was watching these games, and I was like, yo, Kevin Durant is missing a lot of shots. But I didn't think that he was shooting 22% from three.
For some reason, they say he shoots well from three.
He doesn't. Even his career, he doesn't. He has like a lot of 37%, which, that ain't bad. But it's not like, 41% or, 39% or something like that.
Yeah, but he doesn't even shoot that many threes. The thing that helped Kevin Durant was that he was getting a lot of open looks when he played with Russ, because Russ would collapse the defense, James Harden would break down the defense, and the guy guarding him, basically, if he gets the ball and you are 6'4" and under, and you're trying to defend him, that's an open shot for Kevin, because he's 7 feet tall. He's going to jump. Right. So if you're not Tatum at 6'8", 6'9", then that's an open shot for Kevin Durant.
Yeah. I feel like we got cheated with Paul George being hurt in the first round. Like, I felt like we missed out on a really good series.
And this is why people are going to pick the Clippers next year when we talk about early season picks, because people won't feel like they got cheated. No, you didn't get cheated. You got what you got. This is what you have, Phoenix. You got DeAndre Ayton. He don't want to be there. He don't like his role. He don't like the fact that you guys don't call a single pick and roll for him to shoot jump shots. You do nothing for him but make him do the dirty work. Granted, you're paying him $133 million or something, but even then, you skated him on the deal because you gave him a smaller deal. And if someone wanted to match it, like, it gave you an opportunity to match it, and you matched it. So it's like you did him. I think they cost him something like $40 million. They saved themselves like $40 million, because he's supposed to get like 180. He ended up getting like 133 because the way they did the deal. And somebody, I think Portland matched it. Who matched it?
For
Ayton.
No.
He had an offer sheet.
I felt
someone sent an offer sheet and they matched it.
I thought it was a team from the East.
I don't know if it was Miami. I can't remember who it was.
I can't remember right now.
but it was like they just okay, cool. We'll take that because the other team can only offer you X amount. So like, yeah, he already knows that they
Right,
slid on him.
right.
So I say Phoenix goes home tonight.
I think so too.
Uh,
Um,
I got Philly. Philly's gonna beat Boston
I got
tonight. I'm
Philly
gonna call it
83-81 with
4-24.
4:28 left. Yep. And
Oh,
then
cool. We finally in the same
and
spectrum.
here's an interesting nugget for you. No pun intended. But the other night in game 5, the Nuggets were the first team in this series to hold the lead after the first quarter and win the game.
So what we're saying is whoever has the lead after the first is going to lose this one.
Probably. So, but you know what, though? I know I picked Denver to win this series. I picked Denver to go to the finals. But this series I'll take a game 7 of this series. I'll take a game
I
7
mean,
of this series.
I
And
I'm happy for Booker. I'm happy for him to get his shine,
mhm.
but he is kind of
Is Booker better than Jason Tatum?
Booker has that real dog in him, but Jason Tatum is doing things that you're going to see here in
And
about
right on cue,
7.
the step back 3.
Oh, yo, hold on. That dude that just was clapping, I used to work with him. Hold on. Straight up, that
80,
dude that was clapping. As a retired senior master sergeant, he just was clapping super.
the one with the
Hold on, see
glasses?
if I can you rewind it?
Now I'm on my phone, so like I don't want to mess it up. But
Oh,
87-83 Boston with 3:34 left after the step back 3 from
I'm about
curly
to hit him up.
hair.
Hold up. I'm listening. I'm about to hit him up real quick.
So basically the key to the game tonight is Michael Porter going to make the trip, because the first 2 games in Phoenix in this series he hasn't been around. Jamal Murray has cooled off since the start of this series, so I don't think it's out of bounds to think that Phoenix can win tonight. They're at home, but I think I'm just going to go with Denver tonight. I think that Jokic leaves a mark on the game tonight. I ain't saying he goes for 53 again or anything like that. Maybe he gets a triple double or something, but I think Jokic is going to show up tonight and close the deal. So, with that being said, I guess the question is who's going home tonight, but I want to know who's going home tomorrow. The Knicks going home?
The Knicks going home. The Knicks are going home
The Knicks are going home, yes.
because I think Miami's game plan and their performance is like pretty consistent.
Uh-huh.
So it's like they were. I mean, it was a good game back and forth. I think Miami just they get their hand in it, they get the strip. They
Mm-hmm.
get the strip that goes off your foot that goes out of bounds when they're up 4 and they come down, they get the 3, or they come down and Bam Adebayo gets a layup or and 1, now they up 7,
Mm-hmm.
and then now you're trying to rush it, you get the 3. So I think Miami can just push you into like back you into this corner where you're throwing more haymakers, and Miami's just bobbing and weaving, and they're just getting body shots, body shots, body shots. Kyle
Mm-hmm.
Lowry, crafty. I'm sick of how he keeps fronting on the refs like he doesn't hook people's arms,
Yeah.
but he does it every time. And he's just like, I love. He was like, but I'm like, yeah. Then R.J. Barrett did it to him because these guys are
Mm-hmm.
learning. So R.J.
Yeah.
Barrett hooked his arm and was like, oh, I can't get out. And then he got the foul call. I'm like, yo, you do that, so people are gonna pick up on the same thing Chris
Right.
Paul used to do. People used to pick up on his little moves. Trae Young picked up on a Chris Paul move where you just kind of dribble, slow down, back into it.
Mm-hmm.
Doncic picked up on that move. The NBA kind of picked up on it and said, like, you guys got to stop doing that. But that was one of the things, like, these guys kind of
Mm-hmm.
absorbed it. So I got the Knicks going home, and I got Golden State losing against the
The
Lakers.
Lakers.
Lakers winning in 6.
So I got the Knicks going home tomorrow as well. I don't like the fact that Jalen Brunson played all 48 minutes last night, um, along with Quentin Grimes playing all 48 minutes. But I don't know if he's injured or not. He had a
Did he hurt
situation.
something?
Yeah, he it looked like he hyperextended maybe, or like it looked like he bumped knees with somebody, but it just went
Yeah.
beyond that.
Yeah.
So I don't imagine that he's going to play tomorrow for right now. I haven't heard that, but that's just a guess. Even if he does, he's not going to be very effective because I think he's the best Jimmy Butler defender they have. And if he's not playing, then I think that's just adios. They're doing the Heat. They're doing the Harrison Barnes thing to Josh Hart. You know, they're just telling him, take your shot, like wherever you want it at, just take it.
Take
And
2 more dribbles in and shoot the two-pointer.
he's not making it. So, you know, I think that like last night game, you know, New York was up 16 at one point. But when I went back and looked at it, you know, because, you know, I go back and rewatch games sometimes now. As I was going back, they had an 18-2 run in the first quarter. And then to start the third quarter, they went on a 23-7 run. So that's basically how they won the game, was those two runs. You know, and Miami played them right tooth and nail the rest of the way. It was just those two runs.
Duncan Robinson had a wide open three when they
Mhm.
were down, I believe it was 97-93, where in transition, New York just forgot about 55. And he
Mhm.
just was standing there and the ball came. And he probably was so open. He was like, I'm so open, I better make this. And he kept missing it. But he makes the score 97-96.
Mhm.
Now Miami puts that stranglehold on you. Because I think what I saw with Milwaukee, Miami, because Jimmy Butler was talking slick to Drew Holiday when they
Oh
were
yeah, he
down
was
10
talking
in the
disrespectful to
fourth.
him. Yeah.
Down 10. You can't guard me. He's like, what is this dude talking about? Like, we're still up 10. And then next time I saw a clip, they were down 6. He was like, so I think Miami, when they start to get close, it makes you feel like you're down 7.
Mhm.
You're
Mhm.
up 5. And they
Yeah.
just play you like they play you like they have you down. And then you do things thinking you're down. Obi Toppin shooting the 3 too early. Uh, Josh Hart not shooting. Jalen
Mhm.
Brunson dribble driving to the hole, stepping on feet, hurting ankles. Uh, the ball getting stuck in the corner. Julius Randle putting up a 3 with like 8 seconds left in the shot clock because you think, oh, it's got to be counting down because they got me trapped in the corner. I just think Miami just plays you
Mhm.
to they play you like the way a boa constrictor, just kind of like just
Yeah, they
make you
just
squirm.
yeah.
And every time you squirm, they just tighten up, just calmly tighten up. You're fighting for your life, but it's just like just squeezing you out. So
You gonna
I
get
think my
down or you gonna lay down.
and I think that's gonna hurt. And,
Yeah. And
and I don't know about the injuries. I know these guys have like all those machines they can put on their legs and massage your legs while they're on the plane or while they sleep, or they wrap them in some kind of Navajo blanket and get them all rested and they feel great. Because I see, like, I get these guys are they're playing back to backs, but you fly down, you get to a hotel, probably a nice hotel, nice bed, you get the
mhm.
machine, the trainer comes to see you, they send, well, I don't know what the post Deshaun Watson life, if they send massage therapists to your room or you got to
Right,
go to a
right,
room with a
right.
camera, whatever it is, you go and you get,
Jason
you know,
Tatum.
yeah,
There you
you get
go. That's 13 points in the
massage.
fourth quarter, bringing his game total to 16. So Boston up 8 with 151 to go. It looks like we may get our game 7 unless something crazy happens. You know, and of course if
Reggie
Miami
Miller, like,
yeah, and of course if Miami wins tomorrow, they'll be the first 8 seed to go to the conference finals since the Knicks in 99. So, you know, and of course the Knicks beat the Heat in the first round of that playoff run. So there's some poetry for you. As far as the Warriors go,
I'm listening, I'm just watching
yeah. Somebody's
the
on the ground. It
replay.
looks like, or I don't know if they're hurt, but it looks like a scrum for the ball. So as far as the Warriors go, I have no idea who's going to win tomorrow night. I have no idea. So what I do know is that the Lakers haven't lost at home yet in the playoffs, so they're 5-0.
5-0.
I don't know because I saw that Mr. Davis left the court in a wheelchair, so I don't know if he's in some kind of concussion protocol or.
I read something that said under no circumstance does he miss game 6.
Well, if he does miss game 6, then obviously Golden State will probably win. But I think that Golden State can win tomorrow night. I just don't know if they will.
Yeah, I don't think we have a lot of evidence to support Golden State win on the road this season.
But Draymond did yesterday what I've wanted him to do all series is when they switch and you got Schroeder on you, you just turn around and go up to the bucket. He's either going to foul you or you're going to score. And he was just aggressive. So I don't know if that was because Tom Izzo was in the crowd and he was trying to play
I
well
was
for his
thinking that
team.
too.
Yeah.
I was thinking like if he called Coach Tom Izzo to come, motivate him,
Yeah. So
or if he thought this is something that Nick Wright said. He was like, it's a real possibility that game, game 5, would have been
His
the
last game.
last home game as a Warrior with Steph, Clay, and Draymond on a team. I
Yeah,
think that has to resonate with you
it
as a
does.
player.
It
Like,
has
yo,
to. And they've
this could
never
be
lost
it.
they haven't lost a series together to a Western Conference team. So, I'm sure all of that is in the back of their mind. But can somebody please get an APB out on Mr. Klay Thompson, who's supposed to be representing for the Mamba? 3,
So
4. Oh,
if
so here's a stat. Sorry, here's a stat for you.
I'm
In
listening, I'm
in
just
the
watching Tatum do his dance.
in the last 3 games, the one and only Klay Thompson is 11 for 37. So obviously, if the Warriors are going to win tomorrow night, we're going to need to see Game 6 Klay, because we didn't see him in Game 6 against Sacramento.
Yeah, game 6, Clay. Hold on, did he get tripped? Nah,
I'm
you fell.
so tired of James Harden.
He
so
fell.
tired of him.
Your feet touched, but you fell. Game 6, Clay, but it's on the road.
It's on the road, yeah.
The Lakers playing Lonnie Walker. I didn't see much of Vanderbilt in game
Which
5.
is surprising, because he's the one that defends Steph well.
I think maybe they were trying to get points.
Yeah, that's probably it.
And then maybe they figured Lonnie Walker's hot hand would extend. So
but I still think they need to play. Here's Tatum again. Nope. I still think they need to play Lonnie Walker just a few more minutes, though. I still don't think they're playing him enough. Maybe that changes tomorrow night. Tatum for 3 again, just letting it fly. There you go. Another 3. So
as soon as I said they were going to lose, so
95-84, 36.6 seconds left. My pick was Boston in 6, so obviously I'm gonna have to hope for Boston in 7, because I picked Boston and Denver in the finals. So we'll see what happens.
So LA, Golden State,
the
role players for Golden State don't travel. It's like they all just stay.
I don't know.
And then they send shells of themselves down to LA. They do nothing in Los Angeles. I mean,
I don't know if we jinxed
double.
Yeah. I don't know if we jinxed. I don't know if we jinxed Jordan Poole when I started calling him turnover source Poole, but where is he?
He can go ape at home because no one in the audience is telling him that he sucks. Because you got to hear it. You can hear it. No one cheers. Excuse me.
Steph is due to have a bad game too. Steph is due to have a bad game, because he's been carrying Golden State, throughout these playoffs. The wheels are bound to come off at some point. But I think going off of nothing but respect, I'm gonna pick Golden State to win tomorrow.
You got them forcing the game.
It's just hard. It's so after all we've been through all these years,
it's hard because you're making you pick based off nostalgia. But if you simply look at that game yesterday,
well, Golden State should have won Game 4.
Based off of what? Nobody else performed.
Based off of them giving up 12-point leads, and Lonnie Walker having the game of his life. If Lonnie Walker doesn't come in that game, Golden State wins that game by double digits.
Yeah, he had a nice little run.
And Steph being a dumbass.
Well, I think he just thought somebody was going to be standing over there and shoot the 3.
He had a timeout.
Yeah,
I mean, against Sacramento, he called the timeout they didn't have.
Probably that's why he didn't call the other one.
You know what I'm saying? He was scared to get Chris Webber.
Yeah, so he didn't probably want to get tied up again.
Yeah.
Another jump ball, because that's what happens. It would be another
time
jump
was going to run out, yeah. So 95-86, Joel Embiid pouting, Hodel like he normally does. So, we got Saturday. Can Joel Embiid, the MVP, make his first conference finals of his career? This guy says no, but we'll see.
Yeah, for all the flack we as fans have bestowed upon the NBA this year, and the low management, and we don't get LeBron versus KD, and we don't get this matchup, and we want this, and the MVP is this, and the GOAT is this. These playoffs have really, even the Brooklyn Philly series, they call that goaltend. I mean, it's a whole different ball game.
Embiid was out. Yeah,
Embiid's out.
Because remember, he didn't play game 1 of this series.
Correct. So they would have missed a couple of games. I think you just sometimes, like, big players make plays, but as we were talking about Tatum, he needs to come out like this.
Mm-hmm.
If you go 0 for 7, go 0 for 7 being aggressive. Don't go 0 for 7 being passive, like trying to dribble baseline and pull up smooth. Like, nah. Hit that step back. If you make it, you make it. If not, get back, play defense. Get in the paint, get fouled. Try to get fouled early, especially if you get fouled early. See the ball go through the hoop. You get whoever's defending you in foul trouble. Whoever's defending the hoop in foul trouble.
The NBA is rigged. Boston and Golden State in the finals the same year. Draymond and Tatum have a commercial together.
Oh yeah, how'd that work out for Kobe and LeBron with those puppets?
I know, right? But all right. So we're here at the end. You got anything to get off your chest?
No, not really. I just want to give a shout out to my son's middle school lacrosse team. They finished the year undefeated. They were literally beating teams so bad that other teams were sending messages to the athletic director of the middle school saying, we don't want to play them because we heard what you guys did to this team, and that team destroyed us. And if that team was dirty, so that means you guys had to be dirty. Like, nah, we just smooth with it. They just top notch 13, 12, 13, 14-year-old lacrosse players. Shout out Northern Burlington Greyhounds lacrosse team, undefeated. They did the Gatorade bath and the coach. It was great. So shout out to all the young men. Work hard. It was hot today. It was like solid 81 degrees outside. It was hot, no shade on the field, and they were just out there balling. So great young kids, great young men. But they have another lacrosse team they're all together on, so I'll see them again. But just shout out to the middle school group. Shout out, undefeated season. Let's go.
Bong bong. So I didn't really have much to get off my chest until I was on social media earlier, and all y'all fools was out there leaking the schedule. You know what I'm saying? I'm tired of this generation. Stop leaking everything. Stop spoiling everything. Sometimes some of us just like to be pleasantly surprised. You know what I mean? I would hate, to go to some event, let's call it WrestleMania, and everybody's like, oh, The Rock is scheduled to appear. And I would be flipped out. Like, how you took a moment from me to have that music hit, come out the curtain and all this kind of I just can't. Like, before a show even, an hour after the show, y'all already on social media talking about the episode. Some people got a life. We ain't watching the show at 3 p.m. like you, because you ain't got no job. You know what I'm saying? Stop spoiling it.
He hit the unemployment, folks.
Stop spoiling it, man. Like, I was really sitting there, you know what I mean? Like, I was like, oh, so Kansas City and Detroit playing week 1, huh? Like, y'all couldn't even keep that under wraps, huh? You know what I mean? Like, I know I'm being half serious, but at the same time, I am serious. You know what I'm saying? Stop spoiling everything. Stop leaking. Let us enjoy the show. Let us enjoy the moment. And then I'm going to take a quick second, because I would be a hypocrite if I got on Mr. Bob Huggins the other night for what he said. So I'm going to apologize to Mr. Dwayne Wade for the comment I made a little while ago. It was funny in the moment. And, you know what I'm saying? But you know what I mean? It is what it is. So I apologize for that comment. I'll be the bigger person here. I shouldn't have said it. And there you go. So on that note, thank you for joining us, America. You know what I'm saying? We're proud to have you as our listeners and our crowd and our fans and all that good stuff like that. So, and I got a quick programming note. I said Boston and Philly game 7 on Saturday. It's on Sunday. So there you go. So I don't know why they do this to me, but everything is every other day until you get to game 7. We got to get the extra day to build it up, right?
You got to build it up. You got to sell out all the commercials. You got to make sure you get all the Buick commercials, Chipotle commercials. You got to get the Honda Civics in there. You got to, you just got to get everybody.
Yeah, and all I got to say is
Google Pixel phone commercials. That as literally as I said it.
Yeah, there you go. And and I know Jason Tatum had the Subway commercial, like I mentioned. Maybe if they win the finals this year, like I predicted, he can upgrade to Jimmy John's or something.
Upgrade, Paul. I mean, it's all terrible.
It is all terrible, but Subway is probably at the bottom.
You got to
like Quiznos is better.
Any mom and pop shop in the state of New Jersey make you a better sandwich than Subway,
Yeah.
Quiznos, Jimmy John's,
Yeah, what
even
happened to
Jersey
back in the
Mike's.
day? What happened to back in the day when we called them hoagies? You
Yeah,
know what
we
I'm
call
saying?
them hoagies at Wawa.
You know what I'm saying? Wawa, I miss
Shout out,
Wawa.
shout out. I
I
think
miss Wawa.
Chanelos in Virginia. Back in the day, bad news. Me and my pops used to get the Philly cheesesteak from Chanelos.
Whew.
Yo, I'm telling you, it's the
I
way
miss
like
Dino's,
a
you
penny
know
and a
what I'm
half
saying?
when it came to the house.
And I don't care what nobody
$7.
say. I don't care what nobody say. I want the smoke because I know Philly, y'all famous for that cheesesteak. But Baltimore's better.
Stop it.
It's
Stop
true.
it. You about to end
It's
this
true.
partnership.
It's damn true. Kurt
You about
Angle
to end this
style.
part- Come on, man. You
We
can't
want
out
the
Philly
smoke.
Philly when it comes to cheesesteak. You can't out Philly. Everybody tried. You can't out Philly.
Yo, hit us up on YouTube. Hit us up on Twitter. Hit us up
That's
on
like saying it's
Instagram.
better pizza outside of New York City. It isn't. Doesn't exist.
Chicago for the win. Chicago for the
That's
win.
lasagna. That's
You know what I'm
lasagna.
saying?
You
You
gotta
call
eat
it
your
what
pizza
you
with a
want.
fork. That's if you can't fold it.
I gotta go get that
Yeah.
Pittsburgh pizza with the sauce on
If you
the
can't
top or
fold it,
whatever.
if you can't fold it like this, take a bite.
Now, I need to get the Pittsburgh and get the sauce on top or whatever they do there. I gotta get that joint. You know what I'm saying?
That's lasagna. That's
You
a
know what I'm saying?
casserole.
But yo, we will see you on Monday. 2-5 Daily coming at you starting tomorrow. I'm in your ears. I'm in your face. We out. Peace.